here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web. Or play it if you dare. At the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live at the Bike, brought to you by the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles, California, the first and only webcast of real action cash game poker. I'm here, Bart Hansen with Dave Tuckman, and it's Monday, so it's a little limit hold'em night, little 8-16 action, Dave. We actually have several 2+2ers in the game, so this game is probably going to play, I would say, a little tougher than your normal 8-16 game.
Yeah, 8-16 is kind of that borderline. It's either low limit or it's mid limit. This is going to play more like a mid limit game.
Yeah, so let's head over to the table and let's get into the action.
Let's do it. Seat number 1, we've got Richard. And there's Richard. Good shot of him.
Yeah.
He's got about, I'll say about $130 in front of him. Seat number 2, we've got Rick Nebbiolo. And what's his post on 2+2?
Rick Nebbiolo.
That's pretty inventive.
Yeah.
How'd he come up with that? Seat number 3, we've got Ruben. That's the, we're going to go the other way. There's seat 3. Just for today. There's Ruben. Good-looking guy. Seat number 4, we've got Owen. And Owen is he's kind of a limit hold'em regular on this show now.
Yeah.
He likes to play it. And he's got a couple of racks there, so he's got over $400. Actually, he's got over $500. Seat number 5, we've got Garland.
There's Garland.
And
Garland on 2+2.
Yeah, another real creative name. Seat number 6, we've got, I guess that's Vinny. And I don't know much about Vinny. I guess Vinny is new to Live at the Bike, so he plays. Always interesting to see a new player. Seat number 7, we've got Sam, and Sam is not new. He's been on the show before. Pretty tight player, pretty ABC. Rarely shows strength unless he has something. Seat number 8 is Harold. And Harold, out of his normal seat, Harold usually plays in seat number 2, but he's in seat number 8 today. And Harold's a pretty good player. You know, if he has a weakness, if he has a leak, I would say it's pre-flop in the blinds. Tends to call a little bit too much for my taste.
We've seen him a lot. We're really familiar with him.
And seat number 9, we've got Michael. And I guess Michael's also a 2+2er?
Yeah, he's under Michael Davis. And that is Rick's son.
Oh, that's Rick's son?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Neither did I, not until today.
Wow.
So again, we're playing 8-16 hold'em. Green chips are $2 chips. It's a 4-8 chip structure game. It's just like any other 4-8 chip structure game, whether it be 20-40, 100-200, 4-8. All the same, right? All the same chip structure.
And it's all the same game, too.
Right.
Limit hold'em. Across the board. Looks like Ronnie's in the house.
All right, we're going to see an open raise here, one off the cutoff. King 6 of hearts. Now, Garland is in the big blind. He's got 7-9 of spades, and he defends. And here we go. We're heads up. Oh, pretty good flop for Richard here. He's got the nut flush draw with an ace. Wow, he checked it. I mean, what a flop to bet into. Now he makes the nut flush. And now he's going to bet.
And Garland's going to fold.
I assume he's going to bet. What?
Hey.
Wow.
He's playing it a little tricky.
And the river's a king. And now he bets.
Well, there you go.
Wow. Nice. I've been waiting to fold. Garland was saying I was waiting to fold.
Oftentimes you'll obviously see Bart and I, rarely do we ever say to play it tricky in limit hold'em. And if you're playing 8-16 limit hold'em, you're playing like a mid-limit game.
Right.
I can almost say never play it tricky. Just play it straightforward.
Right.
Once in a while you can make a move, but really not. I mean, you're really you're going for the pots that nobody else wants. You're playing hands in position. When you got the goods, you bet them.
As always, if you want to keep this show interactive, you can email us at liveatthebike.com. You can follow live threads, start on the internet by going to 2plus2.com, spelled out, click on forums, World Poker Tour, etc. Visit our MySpace page if you want. Looks like this is limped around here. Six-way action here. Little no fold'em hold'em this hand.
Oh, instead of deuces, in seat number 8, but it is a 3 flush out there.
How about a flopped flush here for Richard in seat 1? Remember, he had the same hand. Let's see if he slow plays it here. Now, seed 8's going to bet out with bottom set.
Well, you can't really slow play a set of deuces there, can you?
Well, I was going to say Richard here with the flop flush. He does. He just calls. Not necessarily saying you're going to get anyone out with the ace of clubs, but you might try to jam it up here. He just calls.
Well, that's the whole point. You
Yeah.
want to make him pay for it.
Turns a 10.
And Harold's going to need the board to pair here.
I assume Harold's going to continue to bet. And now we got...
He just calls.
He just calls again.
How do you not raise
Loves
this?
to slow play, and the river's an ace.
Well, now he's got the nuts.
Well, he's going to... Now, look at this. Harold is going to bet again.
I don't mind the play here. Now, if Richard
Now,
raises, can he throw it away
can,
safely?
Yeah, can Harold fold the set here for one extra bet? I mean, it's a fold that you don't often see at this level.
Yeah, but you know what, though? It's a raise you won't see at this level either unless the guy's got it.
And he makes the call, so he bets the river. If you're going to bet the river, you know, with the intention of folding to a raise, then you have to fold to a raise,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's the whole point. I mean, I actually love the bet by Harold on the river. It's a fine bet, but you have to know if you get raised, you have to throw it away. Because remember, you're representing here a big hand. You're representing actually the king of clubs or the jack of clubs. And you've got to realize that if somebody's raising you on a pure bluff, they also know there's no fold equity. Now, I'm not sure if Seat number 1 Richard is thinking that way, but you need to think that way. It's one of the reasons why I love value betting and limit hold'em is because if you do get raised on the river, I mean, I'm telling you 99.9% of the time, they're not bluffing.
Well, especially at this level. I mean, the other thing you see about this level is usually if you get raised on a big bet street, one pair is rarely good.
Still feel the rush coming.
I tell you, it's like a new thing on 2+2 now. People are just making fun of what I wear. What is wrong with this? I think I've worn this shirt about 100 times on the show.
Three-way action here.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I needed a new wardrobe.
No free rides.
Richard's got a top pair, and he's going to bet
I'll
it.
show you one.
And I got to tell you, the funny thing is, if Richard ever bets the flop, I know he doesn't have the nuts.
Yeah, you know, he probably has like something like one pair, something like that.
Flop 2 pair.
I actually love when people do that no limit hold'em because you
Right.
can really pick up on what they have by their betting patterns.
You know, it's funny. I was telling you, I mean, your wife was out of town, and you were telling me that you played a little bit online over the weekend. You actually got into PokerStars $1 Million tournament through a $11 double shootout, right?
I was so I told you, I didn't even realize. I just thought it was some like single, like, oh, okay, if I win this table, I'm in. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, the
So I
single
win-
ones are double. They're $21.
Yeah, and I didn't even. I was like, okay,
No.
whatever. Anyway, I win my table,
Mhm.
and then I had to sit around for an hour and a half because the other tables weren't as quick as me.
Right.
I had to sit around for an hour and a half. And I'm like, oh. And then I ended up winning the next table, and I got in, but I didn't do much in the tournament. Ended up wasting about 5 hours
You know,
of
you
my
can
life.
actually get into the main event at the World Series through a $109 double shootout like that, and it gives you a
Really?
seat. Because yeah,
I
$10,000.
should try that.
you
That's
know?
great.
Got a raise here by Rick Nebbiolo. King, queen suited in seat 2. Seat 1 limped. Seat 1's got bottom pair. He's outflopped Rick. And it looks like a bet and a call here. Bet, Richard call. Turns an 8. Let's see if Rick takes a free card here. Well, Richard checks here. Rick's trying to figure out what he's going to do. Well, he's going to represent. Maybe he... Well, let's see here. No, he's going to check. He's going to take the card, and here we go to the river. And the river's a jack. What a card here, because it's a straight on board, but Rick has the absolute nuts right now. He's got king, queen, and he's going to bet.
Now, in limit hold'em, we always talk about, you're not going to make money by being a hero and making big laydowns.
Right.
In no limit, it's an easy laydown.
In limit hold'em, I think Rick is definitely a capable player of, after it's checked to him, betting ace-king there to try to...
Oh, he can bet anything.
Yeah.
You can bet 10-9 there. You can bet whatever he has.
I mean, I don't mind the call there, but
No,
playing it straight on board.
It's hard to put him on a queen there, you know?
Yeah.
Board 7, 8, 9. I mean, 7, 9, 10. I mean, I was actually kind of excited because I hadn't played much online, and to win the double shootout, I was kind of psyched. I was like, okay.
I mean, the only thing, like I keep saying, is like I wish you had played
good
for
practice.
more, where you could actually have gotten a real prize.
hey,
Like
I
a
got
seat
into
to
$1
the World
million for
Series.
free. I know.
I was telling you that I actually played in a bunch of tournaments. I was playing 4 tournaments at one time. I played Omaha on Stars, the 7 o'clock one. Didn't do much. I played the Horse on Full Tilt. I played a $30 one on Party Poker, which is pot limit Omaha High Low. Got knocked out of that one. But the best accomplishment that I had all weekend, Dave, was I played in a $10 no-limit tournament, multi-rebuys on Stars that had 1,845 people.
That's insane.
4,000 rebuys and 3,000 add-ons. The prize pool was over $100,000. First prize was $19,000. I placed 16th out of 1,845.
That's just
and I ended up winning like $700.
I don't understand how you only win $700. I guess it's only a $10 tournament. What do you expect? The prize pool is $100,000.
Yeah.
So top heavy though, huh?
10-5-7 here with a couple hearts. Usually, actually, though, internet tournaments are less top heavy than they are live.
Yeah.
We have a bet here by Vinny.
I mean, I guess you needed to make the final table though to really make some money.
Yeah. Vinny's going to bet there at the bottom end of a gut shot, and he takes it down. Once you got to the final table, you got over 1,000, 1,200, and then each step was like another 1,000 or 2,000. But
yeah, I didn't have any big scores like that. I didn't get to play any deep stack ones like I wanted to, because after I won that satellite, I was committed to playing in the $1 million event. But I did get to play. It was kind of fun. I played like a little sit and go, an 18-person pot limit Omaha high only.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just for fun. I played it, and just a little experience. It was like a $10 thing, and I won that, and I was kind of psyched. Just winning that thing. But all in all, it was a very uneventful weekend, and I have to be honest, I really missed my wife.
Is she back now?
She's not tomorrow morning. I pick her up. Actually, tomorrow afternoon. I'm sorry.
Now this is interesting. Sam has open limped from the cutoff with ace-10. I mean, that's a hand that will open bring in for a raise in that spot almost 100% of the time. And Harold limps with ace-5, and ace-9 is in there as well.
Well, Sam's got a gut shot. Nobody else has got anything.
Well, it's going to get checked over to Harold, and he's going to take a shot at it here.
Why not? Use a power position. Richard's going to fold, and you imagine Sam. Is Sam going to take one off? He's going to take one off here. He's got the gut shot.
Turns to 4. Now the question is Harold going to keep betting? No. And the river's a jack. Is this one just going to go to showdown here?
And it does.
And ace-10 will play here.
Yeah, it will. Barely, but it does play.
Yeah.
Both players have jacks, ace-king, and then obviously 10.
You know, it's funny, like that no-limit tournament, I think I almost made a little bit of a mistake, and there were some people that were watching me, so if anyone's out there that was watching me can tell. You know, I was basically, when I went out, Dave, I kind of got short-chipped a little bit. I was real upset because I had a big opportunity to double up when I caught aces in the big blind, but there was just one limper, and he didn't call my raise, and, you know, it was a little bit disappointing. But a guy in the one off the cutoff, there was about, like I said, 16 players left. We were at 20,000, 40,000 blinds. I had 400,000 in chips. One off the cutoff made it 100,000 to go. And I looked down on the small blind with ace-10 of hearts, and I knew the blinds were going up in a little bit.
Get a raise here from Sam. No, I'm sorry, it's the limp here from Sam with ace-jack. 2 off the button there, wow.
Yeah, he limped after a couple other limpers.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hand that I don't mind putting more money in the pot.
Absolutely.
I also want to buy the button.
Yeah. Well, 8, 6, 7 here with a couple of hearts.
And actually, you end up leaving in there now. Ruben would have outflopped you anyway, but you leave in Rick there, and Rick's got a 7 also.
Now, the only thing about this, you know, I have no problem with aggressive play. But I got to tell you, with that board, Rick throws a bet out there. And Richard is going to check raise him with a draw. I don't know if Rick can continue on. I mean, we can see at this level, and he's actually going to fold to the check raise, that out of position, a lot of people are just going to call with anything. And once you throw one bet out there with deuce 7, I think you just almost need to check and fold.
The problem also is at this level, a lot of players, actually even at 20-40 and 30-60, a lot of players will call you with just king 10.
They might call you with ace jack of diamonds.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I wouldn't have been shocked if he called you.
You just have no idea where you're at, and I just sometimes think I might be able to pick better spots.
Exactly. Is the guy calling me the 9? Is he calling me the 5? Is he calling me the pair? Who knows?
But anyways, I had ace-10 of hearts, and I decided to commit with that hand against...
Wait, what was your hand again?
Ace-10 of hearts against a one off the cutoff raise. And, you know, maybe I could have waited, you know, for another round, because ace-10, you're almost just hoping for a race or that you're dominated, but I was dominated.
You never know. Did you move in, you said?
Yeah, I moved in, and he called, and he had ace-queen, and I had ace-10.
I mean, you've got to think there's some fold equity there. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. It's really easy to look in the rearview mirror and know exactly how to play it. Two players, your heads up here, Richard versus Owen.
Yeah,
Richard's got 4-5.
Owen raised with pocket aces, and Richard called him with a suited connector on the button.
Now, Owen's in pretty good shape because he have the ace of spades as well as backup.
He bets, and Richard calls. He hit a pair here.
Yeah, Richard needs a 4 or a 5. Well, now he can catch
6.
a 4 or 5, a deuce, or a 7.
And look at this, aces check, and Richard bets, and Owen calls, and the river is an 8. And now aces is going to bet. He check called the turn, and now he bets the river. when there is a one-liner to a straight out there. Interesting way to play that hand. I thought that Owen was check-raising the turn.
Yeah, really odd there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I like the bet on the river. I just don't understand exactly why you check the turn.
And Richard is going to pay him off. Now, oftentimes we see this pre-flop mistake at this level. I mean, you got an under-the-gun raiser. Well, actually, was he in the...
No, he was under the gun.
Yeah, he was an under-the-gun raiser. Everybody else folds. There's no one else in the hand. And you got a guy calling 2 bets cold with 4 or 5 of diamonds on the button. Now, that's a hand that I will call when I'm deep stacked and no limit heads up on the button.
Of course you will.
But in limit, there aren't enough implied.
The only way for me to call that cold in a limit hold'em game is if seat number 4 were to raise it. Seat 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 all called.
Right.
Okay, I'll throw in 8 chips.
Maybe you would. Right.
I've got position.
Right.
All those callers. Okay.
Probably a minimum of literally 4 people in between. Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, I want this to be all called because I also know if I call, the odds are the small and the big blind to probably call again.
Now look at this. Mike Davis is going to raise here with Queen 10 offsuit, 1 off the cutoff, and Ruben's woken up with kings. I assume he's going to 3-bet. He does not 3-bet. How do you not 3-bet there? Wow. And the big blind takes it in there. He's got deuce 9 of clubs. 7-6-3 here.
Now I got to say, if I had the kings here, I'm probably I guess not. I was going to check raise. I thought this was a perfect spot to check raise that. You check it. Usually you get the pre-flop aggressor to bet, then you raise and you get the guy out in between.
And that's another thing that I sometimes see at this level. And again, I don't want to hammer these guys because these guys are mostly our recreational, but I think a lot of these guys play on this table to try to get a little bit critique of their game. So if Ruben goes back and watches that, I mean, I would almost always 3-bet, especially when people in this game almost defend with any 2 cards in the big blind. As we saw, Owen called with 9 deuce of clubs on the big blind.
Yeah.
I mean, you really got to drive that big blind hand out of there,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
I mean, you don't want him sticking around with ace-4 either, right?
Well, I don't mind him to stick around. I just want to make him pay for it. I mean, I do want him to stick around, but I want him to pay.
But you don't want him
premium.
you don't want him to stick around for just 1 bet with ace-4.
I don't want to make it proper for him to call in the end of it all.
Right.
I mean, it's always funny when people say, I don't want this guy drawing. I go, no, I want him drawing, but I want to make him really pay for it.
Yeah.
If I'm playing no limit and, the odds of him hitting his flush are 3-1, I want to give him, barely even 1.5 to 1.
Yep.
And neither player has a
4
club out
clubs
there.
out here.
Yeah.
Check. River's an ace.
And I think 9 high plays. No, it does not. Does it?
Yeah, we'll
9 plays.
9 high will play.
9 high with no club. And Richard's going to show it, and 9 high is going to win this.
Yep. Well, it looks like Richard is definitely the loose one at the table here in seat 1.
Apparently.
Kind of hard.
So I was kind of excited, actually. For any of our fans in New York, I just want to let everybody know, my father-in-law's play actually just opened up last week.
Yeah.
Week and a half ago. A play called Tryst, playing at the Promenade in New York.
Oh, cool.
And came out great reviews in New York Times. Really, really great reviews. That's actually where my wife was watching the play. Went back to see it. And really excited about it.
Interesting email here, first of the night, from Mark Stalcup. He says, perhaps it's just something I see that doesn't exist, but it seems to me that a lot more older players play limit versus the younger players playing no limit. Does the pace of limit favor the older players more, or is there something else I'm missing? Well, good question, Mark. We'll get to that in a second, as Rick Nebbiolo is going to bring it in from a raise here with Queen 10 of clubs. And look at Richard. He just open limped with the ace-king of spades, and Ruben did not 3-bet Rick.
And now
with
he's going to 3-bet. He's going to do the limp re-raise.
Limp re-raise with ace-queen spades. Now, Rick is going to call. I mean, I got to tell you, if I'm a Ruben spot, I might 3-bet there in the cutoff against Rick with ace-queen offsuit.
Yeah, you might.
Now Owen is in there for 3 bets cold. We've got 15 small bets in the pot here. Here we go.
And there's the king.
King 5 deuce. Well, limp re-raiser's way out in front here.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else has got much of anything, but look at this little bet here by Vinny.
No, Vinny did not bet. He checked.
Oh, I thought he put a little bet out there.
He checked.
I don't think anybody's going to call this.
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's not the flop you want for ace-queen. It's a horrible flop.
Oh,
Nothing gets
awful.
away from it. And look at this, Vinny. Again, I mean, he's called with 7-8 here. That's why sometimes it's very difficult to put somebody on a hand. Well, he's picked up a straight draw. No, he hasn't, has
Yeah,
he?
he's got a gut shot straight draw. He needs a 6 to win this pot. Only a 6.
Yeah, the turn is a 4. He's got a gut shot to a 6, and the river's a 9. And I think if you're ace-king, you bet one more time here.
Oh,
on the river.
definitely.
But ace-king checks.
Yeah, I mean, the 9 doesn't scare me.
Wow.
I mean, if this guy's calling me down with king jack or king queen, I want him paying the whole way.
Absolutely. And that's why sometimes you scratch your head, say the river was a 6, and people complain, like, oh, limit, hold 'em, how do I lose? I mean, you want somebody like that to call a flop like that.
Of course, and it happens in no limit, too.
Right.
When the person misses in no limit, usually they lose a lot more of their stack.
But anyways, getting back to that email by Mark, I think, older players who played longer play limit, whereas the new blood coming into poker have really only been exposed to no limit. So you find usually it's a younger table.
Well, of course, right? I mean, you think about it, a lot of the old-timers have been playing poker in some form, whether it be a home game in a casino or in Vegas, 10, 15, 20 years. I knew my father, who's not he's not an avid poker player, but he's been playing the game in some form or another for 30 years.
Yeah.
While a lot of the new players, they're just watching TV and they see the World Poker Tour, the World Series of Poker, and it's all no limit. And it's all move all in, and that's what's exciting.
We have a raise here by seat 1 with 8-6 offsuit. And Sam is not going to defend with queen 4 there. And Richard is going to take it down. Well, again, though, I mean, I got to tell you, it's nice. I was a little bit concerned about this game. It's nice to see that Richard is going to get involved with a lot of pots, because if he wasn't, I think the game would have been pretty dry. And oftentimes, you only kind of really need one guy to drive the action to make the game entertaining as well as, interesting.
Yeah, of course.
On a limit table.
I mean, Limit Hold'em, I find it interesting because it's a completely different game than No Limit Hold'em. It's a game that, obviously you and I played for a long time, made a lot of money playing it, and but it really is a completely different animal.
Yep. Looks like we got pocket jacks here in seat 8 in the small blind. Our seat 7 actually on the button. That's Vinny Vin.
It's a pretty easy raise here with jacks on the button.
Now here we go. Owen is going to open limp here, 1 off the cutoff with ace-6 offsuit. Actually, it is Sam in the small blind that's got jacks.
Yeah.
If I'm going to play that hand, I'm going to bring it in for a raise.
But you're not going to play that hand.
Probably not.
Not in a full ring. I mean, this is actually a full ring game. There's 9 players in this game.
Yeah.
Ace-6.
Well, he was 1 off the cutoff. I mean, some aggressive players will bring that in for a raise, but I wouldn't limp with it. Well, he hits a pair here. Sam bets, and Owen is going to call. Here we go to the turn. Turn's a queen. And Sam continues to bet. I don't really have a big problem with that at all.
I think it's fine. You can't see the queen there and immediately get scared. No reason for you to think your opponent has a queen.
And
takes it down. Now, I mean, first of all, if you're going to come in with the pot with ace-6 offsuit, you definitely have to raise it.
I mean, Dave, we know some aggressive players that played this casino, like Action Gracie, who's been on the show before. I mean, she'll pretty much almost raise with any ace in any position. I've seen her 3-bet out of the big blind with hands like ace-7. Now, I'm not. Now, what I'm saying is, I'm not preaching that's the way you should play. I think that's way too loose and limit holding the play, but action players will bring it in for a raise.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, if you come to the casino to, get into a lot of hands and get into action, have a good time, and mix it up, hey, play any ace.
Right.
If you want to win money, you'll start realizing that, ace rag is a real problem hand.
Absolutely. Now, ace rag is a hand that I would bring in on the button for an open raise. Normally, again, though, we talked about it on the show last week that sometimes, raising button standards depend on the player in the big blind.
Yeah, I was going to say
the player in the big blind is going to defend with any 2. That's actually maybe a hand that you might actually limp in with if the player's really loose passive. I remember reading in Scalanci's book, if the player in the big blind is almost willing to check it down and your ace high is good because he's so passive, you actually might limp in with ace rag on the button. 5-way action here, and it's limped around. 6-way action. 10-10-6 here.
Nobody's got a 10. We got a 6 out there. A couple of 6s, actually. Richard's got the 6. He's going to check it, though. And Harold's got a 6. He checked it out of the small blind. And Vinny's going to take a shot at it with ace high. And I don't think Sam is going to get involved with this. But you wonder if Harold's going to take one off.
Again, you talk about ace-7 offsuit. I mean, that is a hand that I might limp in no limit on the button 1 out of every 5 or 10 times I have it just to hit 2 pair. If it's not suited, but remember, in limit hold'em, there just aren't any implied odds. Because you're going to have to hit your 2 pair, and someone else who has not raised pre-flop would have to have a big ace to get paid off turn.
I mean, I'll throw this at you in limit hold'em. Let's say you're on the button, and in the blinds, or you're in the cutoff, one of those 2, and you have ace-7 or ace-6, and the blinds are aggressive, good players.
And the river here is a 10. And Vinny bet the turn and then gave up on the river when Richard called him. I mean, Richard called him there when another overcard came with the 6. So I'm sorry, go on.
I was going to say, let's say you're in the small blind. I'm sorry, you're in the cutoff seat or the button with ace rag, and not even ace wheel card. I'm talking about ace 6 or ace 7. Obviously, ace wheel card is even better than those hands,
right?
Because you have a straight possibility as well. And you have a very tight, solid, aggressive player in the blinds. Why don't you just throw it away? I mean, call me too tight. Maybe I am too tight. I don't know in limit hold'em.
No,
but I really think. I mean, I would sooner be raising with 8-6. 7-6, 6-5, 10-9,
yeah.
Jack-9, some hands that have some sort of connection. Ace-6 to me, I'm like, I don't even know what I want to hit there if I get called.
The other thing, too, is, like, you know, sometimes I would actually open fold on the button, say, with pocket deuces against a certain type of player in the big blind, too.
I understand that. Hey.
I think we had a raise here by, was it by Ruben? Well, Ruben has hit it.
Well, if it's Ruben, Ruben's in good shape. It doesn't make a difference
Well,
whether
look
he
at this.
raised or not.
Richard leads out. Ruben does not raise. And Owen overcalls with pocket 10s. The turn's a deuce. And now Richard checks.
Ruben's going to bet it.
Ruben bets.
And is Owen going to call this again? Wow.
Yep.
Now, this is obviously a limit hold'em mistake. It's actually any poker game mistake. You realize you get a caller with that kind of flop, Queen 7-5 rainbow. Your 10s can't be good. One of these players has to be telling the truth.
River's a 3. And Ace Queen should bet again, but he checks.
Yeah.
Boy, again, you know, I'm always wondering because, you know, in no limit, sometimes you check down hands because you don't necessarily want to make a huge pot with one pair. But I can tell you, probably in no limit, the way that hand, I'd bet a little bit on the river too.
There's no question.
Yeah.
When we talk about, you know, great limit hold'em players will bet the river there. You've got to realize this. There's 2 small betting rounds and there's 2 big betting rounds.
Yep.
And if you're always scared to put money in on the big betting rounds, the last one that is the river, you're only getting one big bet in there. You're really cutting yourself short. I mean, you're talking about $16 there that he might have gotten paid on the river.
Look at this. Our buddy surfing the line. I apparently had a nice cash over at Caesar's Palace. So that's a great way for him to open up his next year in Vegas.
Oh, super.
Now, Rick has got ace, king of clubs here in the big blind. A lot of times if it's limped around, you might raise this for value because it's suited. If it's offsuit, I might just check.
Yeah, suited here, I definitely
And
raise
he's
this
going to
up.
raise, yeah.
I mean, I raise this 99.9% of the times. Ace-king suited in a limit hold'em game.
Now, what if it's offsuit in the big blind? You might check
I
it.
might raise it 40% of the time,
Yeah.
50% of the time. It depends on the game and
Yeah.
mix it up a little bit and who's in the game. But ace-king suited is just too. You're raising for value there.
It's like raising with aces or kings.
Yeah.
6-way action here.
I mean, if you're only raising with aces, kings, and queens,
Right.
people will pick up on that.
6-way action, 12 small bets. And Rick hits the ace, and he's going to come out and fire, I'm sure.
Does anybody? No, nobody does. I thought for a
Well,
second.
Ruben's open-ended with Jack-9 here.
Yeah.
Now, Ruben open-limped under the gun with Jack-9 offsuit. Again, that's not a hand that I would play in early position.
Now, this is the case where some people will raise with Jack-9. This would be a terrible spot to raise, though, with Jack-9, because the last thing you want to do is drive out the players behind. You need them in there.
Now, look at Michael. Michael is double-gutted here with Queen-Jack. And now it looks like Richard, he just called. I thought he check-raised there for a second. So everybody called Rick. But
What is Richard in there with?
The turn's an ace, and that's a great card for Rick. He's going to come out and bet again, I'm sure.
Yeah, why not? Now suddenly Michael's double gutter is significantly worse because a king obviously would fill up Rick. So Michael needs a 9 and only a 9.
Now Ruben is still open-ended here.
Yeah, he can catch a queen or a 7.
Now he gets rid of it. There's a 2 flush out there.
2 flush and 2 aces. And with all those callers, you've got to assume somebody has 2 diamonds.
And I think this is going to do it. I think Rick is going to win it there.
Yeah.
And he does. And that's a great way where he built himself up. 6 extra small bets pre-flop and took it down there.
River would have been a 6 of spades. Wouldn't have changed anything. Well played by Nebbiolo.
Now, it's interesting. Now, Mike could have raised there. He was on the button with the double gut shot. He did not. And Rick, I'm sure, probably would have 3-bet back at him if he had raised on the button. With
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, I'm a big advocate of obviously playing really aggressive, limit hold'em or no limit hold'em. In a case like that, though, where the 2 flush out there and all those people calling, you just got to think somebody's in the flush draw, don't you? I might just throw Queen Jack away there.
I think that's real tight, though. You almost have odds to go for your...
Just 6 outs?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you're 6 outs. I mean, remember,
Okay.
at that point, there's 19 small bets in the pot.
Right.
You're calling one small bet.
Right, but I certainly want to put more money. Now, if I have 8 outs, if I have 8 clean outs,
Right.
that's fine.
Right.
I mean, you've got to remember that I might catch one of my 6 outs in the turn and then get drawn out on the river.
Right. Well, Sam made an open limp here with 7-8 of diamonds. He bets this flop when it's checked to him, and he takes it down there.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, while I was playing Limit Hold'em, it was funny. I would kind of play with my game and see what would work the best: aggressive play or passive. I mean, not passive, aggressive play or really tight play.
Yeah.
Loose play and so forth. And the one thing I found that at least brick and mortar, I mean, at least in our casino and in the Bellagio and at other local casinos in LA, when you're playing Limit Hold'em, it just seemed to me, especially when you're playing, I want to say 80-60 and below, 81-60 and below, the tighter you play, the more you'll win. I mean, it was almost uncanny. It almost seemed like I could not play tight enough. Like when I started folding Ace-Jack, King-Queen under the gun, I started winning more.
We got a raise here by Rick Nebbiolo. He's going to raise it with Queen 9 here, an open raise on the button. I definitely do not mind that play. And Ruben here is going to call with Ace 7. And Vinny had limped in with a 7-10 of diamonds.
Yeah, all clubs here. Rick's got the Queen of Clubs in his hand.
And Rick is going to bet the flush draw. Now, Ruben has top pair. He just calls with Ace 7. And Vinny is in there with middle pair with no club. The turn is an ace.
Now, if you're Ruben here, you check. I'm assuming Rick's going to check behind him.
Well, look at this, though. Vinny is going to come out and bet here on the ace.
Well, actually, on the 10 he's betting.
Right, but I mean, he's betting on the paired ace here.
Well, he probably thinks his hand is the best one.
Now, is Rick going to chase here? It is a paired board. He actually does have the best draw.
Yeah, hard for him to know that, though. I mean, if somebody, there's 3 players in there. If one guy has the ace or one guy has a 10 and the other player has a king of clubs, he could be close to drawing dead.
He's going to make the call, and I don't mind that call. Remember, it's a limit. You're not going to lose here. It's only one extra bet. And now Ruben is going to check raise here with Ace 7. Vinny is out of there. And I still think that you can call here, especially when the pot is coming
I'm gonna just I guess we're gonna agree to disagree here. I think it's an awful call by Rick. I mean, I don't see what you're chasing. I'm chasing the non-nut.
No, but I'm asking you, what about the call now, though? You get check raised. Now the pot's
I could be drawing dead. I mean, now a mistake is begetting another mistake, and you know. I mean, obviously a 7 of clubs can't come off, so he's safe there.
Well, the river's a 10, and now it's
make a difference.
It's an easy fold now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
just think Rick lost it locking. I mean, I like the raise pre-flop.
Yeah.
He has position. He lost an awful lot of money with nothing. I mean, he lost what? I want to say 2 big bets and 3 small bets. That's a lot of money with Queen 9 with no hands.
I mean, I understand what you're saying. I wouldn't characterize it as an awful call.
Yeah, okay. It's funny. I'm not going to. Like we always talk about, obviously, most of these players playing 8-6 are recreational players. When it comes to Rick, obviously, we know he's been playing poker for a long time.
Right.
And, we're not going to pull any punches. Obviously, you like the play. It's not a big deal.
I mean, I think it's almost like a 50-50 spot with that pot size. I don't think it's totally awful. Interesting emailer from Noble Satire. He said that regarding your latest Under the Gun blog, Dave, where you talked about trips, calling it all in with a poor kicker, he said he ran a structured hand analysis when we talk about being a range of hands that the player might have with what pot odds, and he said that your expected value was positive.
399, okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. When I ran it myself, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Let me just read the rest of this
And he said that he had a spreadsheet here. Well, I guess it's expected with these holdings as this percentage that he just laid that out here.
Well, since he was the big blind, obviously he could have any 9.
Right. Again, if you want to take a look at what we're talking about, you can head over to liveatthebike.com website. Check out Under the Gun, and that is your latest blog entry regarding what kind of pot odds you need to have to call, when you think that you're at best chopping a pot. But say in that equation you were getting like 6 to 1 or something like that, right? 5 or 6 to 1, weren't you?
No, I was only getting about 2 to 1, but I thought I would chop it. I thought I could win 7% of the time. I thought I was probably chopping it, say, 70% of the time.
Well, we have a raise here by Mike Davis with Ace Queen of Spades. Now, it's interesting. The button is smooth calmed here with pocket 8s. I think there's obviously there's 3 options, and I don't think that's one of the options with pocket 8s on the button. I think it's either a fold or a re-raise. Queen 6-4 here.
Now, it's funny. If 6 or 7 players had already called, you might want to call, but even then you can raise it for value.
Now, look at this. Owen let out with a flush draw. And Michael immediately raised him with ace-queen. Now the turn's a 9, and now Owen has a pair and a flush draw.
Yeah.
And he check calls here. Now a real advanced play. I want to lead this board up again. The river's a king, and ace-queen is actually going to bet here.
Nice bet
again.
here. Real nice bet by Michael.
Got me started off so well.
And Owen, he's trying to figure out, man, what can I beat here? I mean, I had a diamond draw. I've got third pair.
Yeah,
He gets rid of it. What I was going to say was just a real advanced player. Remember, we say at this level, the players aren't usually good enough to make a raise on a big bet round with a big draw and a pair. If Owen check raises that turn, I don't know if Michael calls there with ace-queen, figuring this guy is a normal 8-16 opponent.
Yeah.
Now remember, almost everybody else at this level would call with ace-queen. I'm just specifically saying it might be
Maybe
a move
Michael doesn't.
that you can make on a really advanced player.
Right, and you figure Michael's probably a pretty... I mean, I've never played with Michael.
Yeah.
The fact that he's Rick's son, though.
I played with him in 2040 many, many months ago.
You
And I
have,
know
okay.
he plays a lot online and he's active.
Okay.
So I just would
Yeah,
like to have seen what would have happened.
Yeah,
you know?
if he gets a check raise there with just ace-queen,
Yeah.
it's a real tough spot to call. You'd almost have to put your opponent on a set.
Tell him where you got it at. Chop it.
Open limp here
Back. You want to chop it? I raise it, you take it back.
by the button, and I think they're just going to agree to.
Now, those are plays that, I mean, I rarely will you ever see it at this level. Once in a while, you will see it. You're playing 20, 40, 30, 60, or even higher. You will see that sometimes. I want to thank Noble a lot for that email. Really appreciate it. Get an email hit from Chris Shelton. Is that the same Chris Shelton that's playing for the Tigers? Guy's ripping it up, I tell you. A rookie, come out of nowhere. You guys got like 10 home runs already. That'd be cool if it was him. Well, he says here, hey guys, I have a question that's been bothering me all weekend. I know it's limit hold'em tonight, but my question was for my own no limit game. Okay, well we'll let you slide on that one then. In position with say the nut flush or some other big draw, you say to raise or bet. Okay. My question is, say on the flop you bet in position and get called in one spot. On the turn you miss. In a no limit game, would you bet again or take a card? It just seems so hard to represent on the river after a check on the turn, hoping to hit a draw. Any thoughts would be great. That's a really interesting question. We'll get to it in a second.
It was limped
And I'll kind
around
of
here.
paraphrase it for everybody in a second.
No, it was limped around here, and the flop came 8-8-10. We kind of see a mistake that we often see some people make. Sam did not raise with ace-king offsuit out of the blind, okay. But he is now calling with overcards on a paired board and a 2-flush. Now Harold is sandbagging an 8, turns a 3. And I assume that Harold is going to check raise this.
Well, I don't think Sam's going to bet it, though. Oh, he does. Owen does bet. Okay.
Owen bet with Jack
Owen
10
did bet, okay.
in position, you know. And there it is. I mean, I remember we talk about
And this is an easy laydown for Jack 10?
Yeah, we talk about this no limit. We talk about this limit dance. I remember seeing an article about a card player several months ago, where the
And
guy
Owen
check
calls.
raises, Owen's called with the 10, and Harold's going to turn over some sort of 8. The river's a 4, bet call.
I mean, it's so obvious, isn't it?
Oh, it's almost obvious. And the article in Card Player was talking about how to be deceptive. Was that if you actually play it differently than everyone else plays at this level by betting out on the flop or check raising the flop, you might actually get more money in there because no one gives you credit for an 8.
The funny thing is the reason why it's almost never a bluff is because people almost never fold.
Right.
Can the chip count here? Now, this obviously the chips don't really make a difference. We're just going to use this as kind of a barometer and see how they're doing tonight. We've got over $3,000 on the table. Rick in seat number 2 has got the most money on the table. Vinny's got the least. Let's see how they're doing. And Ruben is our big winner so far. He's up $240. Rick up 90. Garland down 180. And we'll keep track of this all night.
You want to come in now?
Anyway, so that question now, back to Chris Shelton's question. Basically, his question is, okay, let's say he's on the button with a flush draw.
Yeah.
Heads up, and the guy checks to him. He says, we always say you should bet your draw, right? Okay, so you bet your draw.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Obviously, you never want to do everything all the time.
Right.
So he bets his draw. He gets called by the guy the one player. He's heads up now. Now he misses on the turn, and the guy checks to him. What do you do then?
Well, I think it depends on what the texture of the turn card is.
Exactly.
I mean, if you've got ace-queen there, and it was a ragged board, and you bet, and he called, and now the turn's an offsuit king, I think you definitely bet on the turn. You don't take a card. Use that scare card.
Right.
You know?
It all depends on who your opponent is, what you think they might have.
Right.
Can you get them off it with your draw?
White players.
Do they have a draw themselves?
5-way action here. 7-4 deuce with a couple clubs. We had a raise here by seat number 1, pre-flop with king 10 under the gun. He's checked now, and Garland has come out and bet because he's hit top pair with 7-5 of diamonds. And king 10 is going to call with overcards. And we're heads up.
And there's a 10.
There's
Look
a
at that.
10. Yep. And now he comes out and bets.
And I got to tell you now, calling with overcards is generally incorrect in limit hold'em. But you look at Richard makes that play there. Now he catches his 10. And that ensures that he will now do this for the next year.
Well, and Garland's trying to figure out if he should lay this down right now. He got check called, and Garland is going to raise.
He's going to raise this up. Maybe he'll take the free showdown.
Again, that is definitely a more advanced play.
And look at this. I don't think Richard's going to throw this away.
No,
do you?
I don't. But I think
But he will get a free showdown.
I think Garland's definitely going to check behind. I think he's definitely going to check the river.
Unless he catches a
improves.
5 or 7.
Right. Now the river's a 6.
Pocket pair.
Yep, and there it is. Garland takes the free showdown.
Yeah.
And again, that is a move that you do not normally see at this game. But obviously we know that Garland is playing this so that he can be on the show.
And I like the play. It's a really good play by Garland. I mean, you've got 2 choices there, basically.
Right.
I like the fold or a raise play there. By calling, you're just going to have to call the set. You're probably going to have to call a river bet as well.
I got to tell you, sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, it's an interesting question there on the turn. I had that hand happen to me last night in a Party Poker $600 note game where a guy had actually flopped a set at me, Dave, and I had a straight draw and a flush draw. I had a flush draw, and you say the flush draw is always obvious. But say you have a straight draw as well, or the turn brings you a straight draw. I sometimes like the check on the turn because it sets up a play where if you make your straight, it looks like you're stealing, and it looks like you're betting big on a missed diamonds. And I actually overbet the pot and won about an $800 pot that way when I get my straight.
Michael's moved over to seat 6, and he's going to raise it up with pocket jacks.
Yep.
And Owen calls this. It's heads up. He's got ace 9. And not a bad flop for pocket jacks. Now, Owen's picked up a straight draw as well. He needs a deuce or an ace to win his hand.
He's got an overcard and a gut shot. Turns at 10. And Michael's going to bet here.
Michael stays aggressive.
Yeah.
Good place to bet there. I imagine Owen's going to throw it away and does. Now, that's basically the whole point of it, Chris Shelton's question there. It always does depend, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, because oftentimes people will sandbag. They'll check their set. You bet it. They'll call. Then they'll check it on the turn again, waiting for a big check raise there.
Right.
And if you check behind, you can really foil their plans. I mean, you really got to do a good job of trying to read your players. I know a lot of you guys are playing online, so sometimes it is harder to actually make reads, physical tells.
And actually, the hand that I was talking about, I had Jack 7 of diamonds, and I flopped a flush draw.
Right. And then you picked up a straight draw.
It ended up being 4 cards to a straight on the river, and the pot was about $300. The guy checked me. Remember, it was a 1-liner to a 7, but there were 2 diamonds on
There's
the
no
flop.
reason he put you on that.
And I bet $600 into a $300 pot, and he called me with a set of 5s, and I took it down with a straight. You know?
And he clearly, if you had bet on the turn, he probably would have check raised you huge, and you probably would have to throw away your draw.
Well, he was actually betting, and I was smooth calling, but it's a
I
little
got
bit
you.
of a similar
Okay, yeah.
situation. I'm just saying that sometimes, obviously, you always say that, flushes are obvious.
Yeah.
When it looks like you're in a flush draw and you make a straight, that is probably one of the biggest times in no limit that you can win money, especially when a guy has a big hand like a set, right?
Oh, look at Owen's hand here. Owen's got a monster. He's got queen 9. He's got top pair with the flush draw.
Now, he checked it from up front. He's going to check raise, I believe.
No, he just called.
No, he did
No,
check raise.
he
Yeah.
verbally said it. Okay.
And Harold's done with it. Look at that. Harold does not even take one off. And look at that. The queen, his queen was dominated.
Good lay down by Harold. I like that. Oftentimes people will do that in limit hold and they'll bet once. They get raised. They go, oh, I got to call another one. What are you calling for?
Remember, when you talk about, big pots and no limit, boy, it's nice to have a flush draw and pick up some sort of a double gut straight draw and make an offsuit double gut on the river against a big hand.
I mean, flush draws in no limit hold'em, if you have other draws, they're almost, to me, like almost the equivalent of ace-king in a tournament where they look pretty, but they're not much there.
Right.
It's almost flush draws are almost better to be pushing with, And if you get called, okay, well, hey, you can always fall back on your flush draw.
Got a raise here by seat number 1. Queen 8 offsuit. Open raise on the cutoff. And Well, if you're going to play it, I don't mind the raise at all. Now, Owen defends with ace-7 here. 3 deuce deuce. Let's see if Richard can stay aggressive.
How about if you're 0 and you fire out of the pot? No.
Well, it goes check, check. The turn's a 5 now.
And Richard, I don't know if Richard's ever going to bet this.
No. And the river's a 9, and ace high is going to win. And now Richard bets the river, and Owen folds. Well,
see, if you're going to play ace-7 like that, you might as well not play it.
Right.
Um,
Email here from Larry says, hey guys, I don't play a lot of limit poker. Do you guys have any suggestions on starting hands for limit games? Do you think that these people play the same hands as no limit? Should pairs and large aces and suited connectors always see a flop? Well, I think the answer to that is no. Like we said, we go over. I think you play far less hands in limit than you do.
If you want a great hand selection thing for pre-flop, because limit hold'em it really is a pre-flop game, which while I think no limit hold'em is more of a post-flop game.
Right.
Go get David Sklansky's book for advanced players for hold'em. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
And he has great categories. Basically, he makes categories 1 through 9 on what the hands are worth, and a real great guideline. I mean, I think if you stick to categories 1 through 4, you can really be a winning player in limit hold'em. At the same time, you really want to look to not play out of position. Don't play hands out of position.
5-8 brought it in for a raise, and then he said, I'm going to check blind the whole way, and King Queen High is going to win this one.
It looks like Richard's got some sort of straight, but he doesn't.
Nope.
I keep looking at it thinking he's got a straight.
I mean, Richard brought it in with 5-8 of spades. Ruben called, and now he checks blind all the way with 5.
Yeah.
Quite understand.
Not much value to that, obviously. One other thing with Chris Shelton's question, I hate to belabor it, but it is such an interesting question, with betting on the turn, with a draw, you've got to realize, obviously, you're betting hoping there's some fold equity. So you've got to know your opponent. Is there any chance that your opponent will fold either A, a draw, or B, a pair? Because if there's no fold equity, you might as well take the free card.
Right. Got a raise here by seat number 9. He's going to open it with ace-queen here. That's
a new player, by the way. That's Sam.
Sam W.
Sam I am.
Now it gets folded around, and Mike is not going to defend his blind, and seat 9 is going to take it down there.
I talk about it all the time. I say if there's one aspect of limit hold'em, especially even no limit hold'em, but more so limit hold'em, there's one aspect that I think is just so underrated, and it's the hugest leak in most players' games. It's blind play.
You know, one other thing I always point out on the show, there's a couple of hands that are always borderline, I think, for playing in early position. I think it's either a raise or a fold, and I consider that the ace-10 suiteds, ace-jack offsuit, king-queen offsuit. Online in a 10-handed game, I will fold those. Here, when you are normally playing 8-handed, I think they're good enough for a raise, and that's a difference. 2 players or at the table.
Yeah, obviously depending on the game you're playing in, if it's a tight game, a passive game.
Right.
I mean, if you're playing in a real passive game with a lot of calling stations, I'm probably not going to raise it up with ace-jack offsuit in early position, only because I'm sitting there going, I'm raising it up out of position, and I'm going to get called in 4 or 5 spots. An ace-jack offsuit just does not play well multi-way.
But so you would probably fold, you mean?
Yeah, I probably would throw it away.
You'd be more almost liable, even from early position, in a real passive game to limp in with a jack-9 suited, maybe even an 8-9. But remember, we're not advocates of playing those hands from up front, except in very specific games, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of the smaller stakes, Ed Miller-esque games that people always talk about. And I don't know if this game tonight with many solid players, and they're going to play like that. This plays more like a mid-limit.
And there's always a bunch of factors that play into it. You know, what's my table image? Like, if I raise under the gun, am I likely... Like, if I played in this game here, and I raised under the gun, there's a good chance I could probably get seat number 5, Garland, to fold. I could get Rick Nebbiolo to fold, and I could probably get Michael in seat 6 to fold.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I can go, well, maybe I can raise here, represent the big hand.
Now, Ruben made an open limp in mid-position with ace, queen, and diamond. Sam's woken up with queens in the small blind, and he has raised, and we're heads up. Well, ace-9 deuce. Ruben's hit top pair. A bet here by Sam, and just a call here by Ruben. Turns a 6.
Now, if I have ace-8 here, I will often raise this right here.
And maybe take a free showdown, right?
Exactly.
Instead, this might go check here on the river. We'll see. River's a 3.
I mean, you got to look at the flop there, okay? If you're Sam and you want to play limit hold'em, look at the flop. It's ace-9 deuce rainbow.
Yeah.
Not real draw heavy, huh?
Now, depending on how Sam plays, again, I think it's player dependent. If I didn't raise the turn and he checked to on the river, I think sometimes you can put in bet in there with ace 8 if he's the type of player that you've been paying attention and is check down top pair regardless on the river. You might just check right behind him because he might check ace jack or ace queen in that spot. So it's one of those that's always player dependent, right?
Yeah, oftentimes, I mean, I'd rather err on the side of putting in the value bet there
Right.
and getting called by kings or queens.
Absolutely.
How was your weekend, though, otherwise?
It was good.
Yeah? It was actually fun, though. I have not played, like I said, I hadn't played online since Empire, since, what was it, Black October?
Right.
Since that day in October where Empire went down. And then jumping back into the fray, it was kind of fun. I had Donnie Brasco out in the background. I was cuddling with my gay dog and playing a little, little Poker Stars.
Three-way action here, limped around. 10-8-5 here with a couple spades. Sam comes up and bets with an open-ended straight draw. And Sam calls with ace-9. The turn's a spade. Now Sam's picked up a backdoor spades.
Yep.
And it goes check
And
here. And I think that you can bet here with ace-9 as a strong semi-bluff with an overcard coming, but it goes check, check, and the river's a 3.
And is Sam going to try to bet
And now
this?
Sam's going to bet here on miss it, and the other Sam only has ace-high, and he folds.
Yeah.
Now that is the type of case where, almost bring it back to kind of like a no-limit type situation if you had made a continuation bet where you had, say, race with ace-jack. And you had the ace of spades. Now the turn comes the king of spades. That's another scare card, overcard that you can bet on. Just like Sam in seat 7 probably could have bet on the turn there and taken it away.
I agree. See, now in no limit hold'em, if you're against a player and you think he has a pair and you're not going to get him off it, you might want to take the free card.
Right.
Okay? Because he might even be checking a flush to you. You never know. But in limit hold'em, especially in that case there, I think it's a clear bet. I agree with you.
Ace-king here is going to raise here. Ruben on seat 3. And I think that the button is going to, the big blind is going to call here with 9-3 of diamonds, Dave. Kind of any 2. Jack 10-7 here with a couple of hearts. And it goes check, check. Ruben did not bet. The turn's a heart. Well, I guess these two guys don't bet against each other, which we always try to discourage at the table. It's actually on our rules on the live at the bike sign. No soft playing.
Yeah.
I was going for those diamonds. I figured I'd chase you back with diamonds. Right? Just in case, you never know.
Button
And you
moves
know
over
what?
here
I
to
mean,
C9.
Ruben deserves it. You look at that.
Right. Yeah.
If he
Richard-
bets at any spot,
Right.
he gets right to the fold.
Oh, I think we scared them.
It was kind of cool, actually. I had Jay Single, Pojato, on 2+2, sent me a private message. I actually didn't get it till last night. He wanted to know what my name was and what deep stack tournaments I was going to play.
Nobody raised.
And it was funny, since I didn't get to play any deep, I really wanted to play a couple of deep stack ones, too.
Mike Davis is going to come in for a raise here. Pocket 5s.
That would be impossible. Tell him it's impossible.
And Owen had limped in up front with King Jack. Yeah, and that's a hand I'll probably bring in for a raise or fold.
I don't mean that.
Now, Michael raising with pocket 5s, there's an interesting play. Now he's hit a set of 5s.
Now, Owen's got the second nut flush draw, though.
And I imagine Owen's going to call this at least.
No, he give a hint about raising. That's all.
He does.
Yeah, rarely does he raise in the draw.
Hint about raising.
Those are our rules. And while Owen has now picked up a pair of jacks,
And he
Owen's
just-
not going to go anywhere
And he
now.
just check calls here.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I bet that turn if I hit my jack. I'd probably get raised, but
And Michael value bets here on the river, and Owen's going to call him all the way down here with a jack. Michael's going to win it there with a set of 5s.
the funny thing is now, if I'm actually in there with King Jack there, I'd probably lose an extra big bet in that hand because I probably bet the turn,
Yeah.
and I'd probably get raised by Michael. And all I can do is I have to call there with the King of Hearts.
Right.
Killer.
Now, can I throw it away in the river? Maybe, but in limit hold'em, who knows?
You might even check raise the turn.
I might have, yeah.
Yeah. Button moves over here to seat 1.
His book says win, win, win.
Another thing I was kind of excited. I ended up playing mostly satellites, it seemed like. I ended up winning. I won a seat into the, I guess it's a $650 World Series of Poker satellite.
Yeah.
Okay. I want a seat into that. But I took it as like, Poker Stars money. So I can use it in some tournament money, I mean.
W money, I think they call it.
Yeah, whatever it is.
something
W
like
money
that.
or
Yeah.
T money or whatever
Yeah.
the heck it is. because I didn't want to play. I was obviously playing the $1 million one. I didn't want to play both of them at the same time. I can't do that. I don't know how you guys do it. I gotta tell you, like
What, two tournaments at the same
not
time?
two, like 4 and 5.
Limped around here, 5-way action. Jack 8-5 with a couple diamonds.
Sam's open-ended, but with 2 hearts in his hand and 2 diamonds out there, does he want to get involved? Best hand is actually Harold, and he's gonna check it over to Sam, and Sam bets it. He bets to open-ended straight draw. Richard calls with absolutely nothing. Richard has ace-10 here. And the turn is a 9, and that gives Sam the best hand here.
Richard is now open-ended.
Yep. Sam and Richard are both open-ended, but Sam's got the 9s.
And Harold is not going to overcall here with ace-8.
Nope. And Richard needs an ace to win the hand, that's it.
River's a 5.
That's not going to do it. If a 7 or a queen had come, they would have chopped it up.
And Richard says 1 pair because he plays the board.
Yeah.
A thing that often I saw you do, Dave, on the limit game.
I'm not lying.
When you said 2 pair.
What would you say you have if you have 9-10? If you're Sam's hand, what are you going to say you have?
So I used to do it so many times with either you were betting or had missed a draw and, you know, the board was double paired and you had an ace or something. 2 pair.
2 pair, and then I turn my ace over.
Just in case the other guy misreads his hand, right?
Hey, just in case the guy's got like pocket 3s. And he was counterfeited. Aces for Ruben.
Yeah, Ruben's got aces in the small blind.
Deuces for Sam. Now, once again, in
early position, limping in with deuces.
there's just not much value to that. Now, hey, if you're here to have a good time, you want to gamble up and play some hands, why not?
Well, Sam calls.
And Ruben's going to throw some money out there, I'm sure.
Well, Ruben checks. Boy, that's an awfully draw-heavy board to check. Turns a king, it's a third diamond, and now any jack would win.
Why would you check that?
Now, again, the difference, Dave,
People love to play tricky in this. I don't understand why.
if I limped in with deuces and no limit, and I had position on the guy, and he raised, and oftentimes you find even at our level, guys won't raise that much because they want customers with their aces, and then say the flop came out deuce 5-9. A lot of players are going to lose a lot of money with aces.
Oh, yeah.
In no limit, though. That's because you open your whole stack up. But in limit, I just don't think the implied odds are there because you only can make 1 bet per
Right.
street.
Now, if you're playing no limit there and you've got deuces,
Right.
look at that flop
There's
to
a
9,
whole bunch of
10,
stuff you can
queen,
represent.
king with 3 diamonds.
Right.
Man, I mean, I got to tell you, I take any heat with my aces there. They're seeing the muck. I can't beat 2 pair. I can't beat a jack. I can't beat diamonds. Thanks, I'll pass. Pick a better spot.
5 players.
5-way action here, limped around. 9-4 deuce with a couple clubs. Doesn't look like anyone has much here. Well, Owen's got top pair. He comes out and bets. Sam calls here with ace-6, Dave. Not much. He's got ace-high with a backdoor heart draw. And Richard also calls with ace-jack. Now, Rick has got top pair, and he's going to raise with king-9. Not a big problem with that.
I'm
Owen
curious,
calls.
Des. How many times we're going to see an ace rag in the hand, and how many hands that ace rag is actually going to win? Now, we've seen one time Ruben actually won a pretty big hand with ace-7 where he had trips, and Rick called him down pretty much with the queen high.
Well,
flush
now
draw.
Richard's out of there for 1 bet. So we're going to see this 3 ways. Here we go to the turn. Turns a deuce, and I assume Rick is going to continue to bet here. Well, it is a third club.
Yeah, it isn't scary, but why not bet? And if you get raised,
Yeah. Owen calls.
and now if Rick
Oh.
wants to, wow.
Oh, it's a 4th club now, and now it might just go check. We'll see.
Now, is there any point to bet this and get somebody off, say, the 5 clubs?
I just don't think at this level anyone's folding the 5 clubs.
Even 5 clubs.
What I was going to say, though, was if that river was a jack, an offsuit jack, and Owen, remember, he was the pre-flop, he was the flop better from up front. I think it's an easy value bet on the river for Rick with
Yeah.
king-9 if it's an offsuit jack.
Right, I agree.
He had a weaker 9 to call.
You don't think there's any way he throws away 5 clubs or like something like that low? No, he probably calls
I
it.
don't think so.
Crying call.
Yeah.
So our Stars and Stripes tournament's going on right now. Today's tournament actually started at 4:15 p.m. It is it's actually a mix, half Hold'em, half stud. That's pretty cool, $100. Tomorrow is a pot limit Hold'em tournament, $100. Starts at 4:15 p.m. And then Wednesday's another big one here. Wednesday's actually going to be an Action Wednesday. We have a no limit Hold'em tournament with an optional rebuy. It's a $200 tournament. So basically, it's a $200 or a $400 tournament, depending on how you play it. It starts at 4:15, and that should be huge.
Ruben's going to raise here with ace-king. And he's going to take it out. Interesting email from James Geffler. He says, you guys are talking about raising in position on the turn with marginal hands in hope of a free showdown. What's the value of this? Because if you're going to do this move, you're risking 2 bets. And if you call on the turn in the river, it's also 2 big bets. In a game like this, there's little to no fold equity on the turn raise. So what is the point to this play, James?
Great question, James, and I have a good answer for you.
Well, actually, in this game, I actually kind of agree with what he says against particular players.
I still don't. If you're going to call him down anyway. Now, if you were going to check and fold, it's different. But if you're going to call anyway in position, and it's going to cost you 2 bets anyway.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, you might want to raise it up. Even if there's only 1% chance of fold equity. Hey, I'll take it.
Right.
And if my hand improves on the river, I can always bet then. I can always still bet, so I have a chance of making 3 bets there. While oftentimes what will happen at this level is, let's say you just call on the river. You just call on the turn, and a card comes out on the river. Oftentimes these players play it a little passively. They check it down, and if you've improved, you don't get that extra bet in there.
Now, Owen, I believe, he bet, and Harold just check call, but now Harold's going to lead on the turn. And
I like that.
Owen is going to call.
And Harold's in good shape here.
River's an 8.
And Harold's queen is going to play this game to kick a player. Game of kickers.
Check here.
But basically, it's the best of both worlds there. If you're going to call this guy down anyway, I mean, if you're already committing at least 2 bets in there, you got to look at it this way. Okay, either way, I'm committing 2 bets. But let's say 10% or 15% of the time my hand improves. Well, those times I can win 3 bets. There's also, so let's say even there's only a 3% chance of him folding, you got to add that in there, and that's what makes the play so effective, even in this game.
Rub the guy, all right? Rub him some more.
No. That's all right.
And the only thing you have to be careful of sometimes is, if let's say you've got a hand and a draw, let's say you've got top pair or, it's top pair with, say, like the ace-high flush draw. And a guy bets into you and you raise him, and he 3-bets you. And now you're forced, and now suddenly that draw's cost you 2 extra bets.
Open limp here by Richard in seat 1 with Jack 4 offsuit under the gun.
Oh, there's the 4.
He's got the best hand at 8-9-4. Richard bets. And I guess Richard has pretty much played every hand, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to play hockey with a good buddy of mine out here, a guy named Savvy, and we used to go and play poker once in a while. And he's invited me to his home games and stuff like that. And once in a while, I'll actually come down here and play. And he's probably the worst player I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he is god awful.
Your buddy?
Yeah, he's just terrible. I mean, his attitude is literally like, I remember I went and played with him one day, and he's like, God, Dave, you're so tight. You don't play any hands. And this guy, his attitude is, he even says, I have to see the flop. I have to see the flop. I don't care. You never know. I go, what did you have 9-3? He goes, the flop will come out 9-9-3. Go, okay. There you go.
Now, Mike Davis is going to raise here in the cutoff with Jack 9 of clubs.
See, I like that raise better than, say, raising with, say, Ace 5.
Right.
Now, he's dominated club-wise, but he doesn't know that.
And Richard's in there with Queen 7, 10-4-3. This should go bet fold, right?
Yeah. Well, both players should check him. He'll probably bet, and you imagine everybody's going to get rid of it. Everybody's missed.
A little anxious here, huh, buddy?
No, I'm not angry.
I mean, Richard's got Queen 7. I mean, nothing.
But Owen calls, and again, you never know. Owen calls with ace high. The turn's a 9, and now Michael's got a pair.
I think oftentimes you fire it again here.
And he did.
A lot of times at this level, and even at the 20-40 level, players take one off for no apparent reason at all.
And that's why I usually like a bet on the turn, and if you decide you're just going to give up, check the river, as opposed to checking the turn and, say, taking a card. Because sometimes there's a lot of fold equity when you bet the turn because a guy might have called you on that flop with as little as ace high.
You never know, exactly.
You know?
One of the reasons I like raising with a hand like Jack 9 better than, say, ace 6 is if you're playing against a decent player in the blinds, And let's say I raise you, right, Bart, and I raise you with Jack 9.
Yeah.
And let's give me a hand that you might call me with. Let's say you call me with King 10 suited.
Right.
Okay? Now look at all the hands I can represent. Now if I catch my Jack or my 9, I'm going to win the pot. Okay? If you miss, I'm probably going to win the pot. And if I hit an ace out there, I can represent that.
Right.
As long as you don't have that ace, you're actually, the one card you're scared of is the ace. You don't want to see an ace. So it gives me extra cards to kind of force you out of the pot and win it. Now if I had the ace, it's the only hand I can root for. But against a good player, once again, with a small ace, generally you're going to win a small pot or lose a big one.
Got a raise here by seat 1. Queen 10 off suit. And Owen, who limped in with King 10 of hearts, is going to call. So Richard there raised out of the small blind with Queen 10. Comes the flop. Jack 5 deuce. And I got to tell you, I don't actually mind the play by Richard in this particular case, although he just check calls the flop here. Turns at 10. Now both players have 10s. Richard's on a club draw. Richard checks. Owen bets.
How about a raise here by Richard with his pair and his flush draw?
Again, I don't know if Owen's going anywhere, though. Here we go to the river. River's a 6, and King 10's going to win this one.
Yeah, King players. King plays.
The reason why I said I don't mind the play here by Richard, I'm not necessarily giving credit for an advanced play, but we've seen... Oh, look at this. Look at this. Owen bets for value and gets called by Richard, and he's going to take it down there. Nice bet there on the river. What I was going to say was that from what we've seen of Owen, he likes to limp with a lot of marginal hands. If I'm in the small blind with even a holding as weak as Queen 10, I would rather raise in the small blind, get Nebbiolo out in the big blind to my left and take control of the hand against Owen.
I agree. See, the only problem is he didn't follow through on the flop. If he follows through on the flop and he bets right out,
I think Owen's
he probably...
done.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, you're representing a big pair by
Right.
3-betting it, by raising out of the blinds. Follow through with that, and you got the winner.
Button moves over here to Richard in seat 1. King, Queen, offsuit for Harold. I assume he's going to bring this in from a raise in seat 8.
Great email here from Joe McKellar, and his points are really well written. And I'd like to get to them in a second if we can.
Now, Harold open limps, 1 off the cutoff with King, Queen. I definitely like a raise there. And seat 9 is going to raise with 8-5 of clubs.
Hey, are you getting excited about your socks, man?
They're doing pretty well, aren't they?
I'm telling you. You know what it's looking like? It's looking like 1986 all over again. The Mets and the Sox are like, I'm telling you, collision course. Bring Bill Buckner back.
Jack 7-6. Garland's not in the hand. And look at this flop for Sam W. He's open-ended. He bets. And you can tell the difference right there. By Harold not raising pre-flop, he probably would have stolen the blind. Instead, Sam raises pre-flop and takes it down.
See, I think the cutoff seat, King, Queen offsuit is a clear raise. Pretty easy. Now, Joe McKellar talks about, he said that limit is so much more of a pre-flop game. He says, I have to disagree with you to an extent. He goes, yeah, you have to start with good cards, but you need to know how to play them. And I agree with you. I mean, some people think that they can just read a book,
Right.
figure out what hands to play pre-flop, and then be a big-time winner. And I got to tell you, they're wrong. Yes, you need to know how to play. There are lots of plays you can make in limit hold'em. But I will tell you, if you go into hands, if you play limit hold'em too loose, and you expect to consistently outplay your opponents, you're surely mistaken there. You just can't outplay players like this.
Richard open limped with Jack 6 offsuit in the cutoff. Owen is called with, or Owen's in the blind with 10-3 of spades. Check, turns a 4. Richard's got a flush draw now. Now he bets. And he's going to take it down.
But last thing is, he goes, hey, if you can't make the correct plays after the flop, you're still going to lose in the long run. And I agree. I mean, hey, I would rather have a really loose player that knows how to play post-flop than a really, really tight player that knows what hands to go in with, kind of like pre-flop hand selection police, but has no clue what to do once the flop hits. But having said that, I will tell you that I still think this game, Limit Hold'em, is more of a pre-flop game than no Limit Hold'em.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any question. I think the email just said that it is a little more post-flop than we're giving it credit for.
Oh, definitely. You can't. Hey, I mean, if you thought it was just pre-flop, theoretically, I could just find some moron and go, hey,
Right.
listen, only play these hands in position 1, these hands in position 2, these hands on the button, and so forth, and you'll be a winner. No, of course that's not going to work out that way.
Richard raised here with ace-queen, and Owen is called with pocket 9s. Now, Owen's got an overpair with a club draw.
That's a nice flop for 9s, the 9 of clubs.
And Richard bets here.
It's always funny what seems like a good flop in limit hold'em as opposed to no limit hold'em.
Actually, I think that Owen bet and Richard called. And
Wow.
now Owen's going to bet again, but Richard's hit the offsuit queen. And he just calls. Wow. And the river's a deuce. I mean, is he waiting to the river?
I gotta tell you.
Well, he bets here on the river.
And Owen checks it, but it's like, man, I might have bet that one more time. Putting the guy on an 8.
Well, when Owen checks it to you on the river, I like the bet by Richard. I mean, I probably would have popped the turn, but...
I mean, amazing. Richard called that flop. You look at that flop there. He's got a red ace-queen. He's literally drawing to, 6 outs? No, not even. I'm sorry, 4 outs.
Yeah.
He's the ace of diamonds, ace of spades, queen of hearts, the queen of spades, and that's it.
Button moves over here to seat 4.
It's also funny, too, whenever I hear somebody say, oh, you can't make any plays in limit hold'em, I always kind of just laugh it off because I go, man, either you don't know how to play limit hold'em or you haven't played very much limit hold'em. Because there are a lot of plays to be made.
Absolutely. Richard here's going to raise again with ace-queen. He's got the same hand. King 8 of clubs here in seat 4. Owen is called.
No free ride.
And that's going to bring Michael in the big blind with 3s. He was already in for a half bet.
No, that's a fine play.
Jack 5 deuce here. And Michael's actually going to lead out here. Now, again, though, the only problem with doing that in this game is he has to shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're paying attention to the game, you know these guys are going to call with regardless. Turns is 6. He still is the best hand. He continues to lead, though.
And he might win this right here. I mean, can Richard call one more time here?
He's got a gut shot now with this pair, and Richard calls. Well, Richard's going to need to hit an ace or a queen here. Here we go. And the river's a queen,
Oh,
Dave.
man, I tell you.
And Michael checks, Richard bets, and Michael folds. It would have been interesting, though, if it was another blank card, say like an 8, if Michael had checked and Richard bet, what Michael would have done.
Yeah, I mean, when he calls in a turn, you almost got to put him on like a pocket pair or
Yeah.
a jack. It's really
Yeah.
difficult to put him on an ace-queen. Now, calling with pocket pairs in the big blind, against a tough player, I might not call heads up.
Right.
But when one other person is in there, I can call.
Yeah.
Because now I'm actually already getting like, I want to say 4.5 to 1 on my money,
Right.
plus implied odds. It's an easy call. The only problem is, though, is oftentimes you'll be playing pocket 3s from behind, and you're not just losing that extra small bet. You end up losing 2 more big bets in there.
I'm sure Michael's going to watch this, but call me a little bit weak.
Yeah.
He actually let out on the flop and on the turn with 3s. I might on the flop once I don't hit the set, even if it is low cards, just give up. Because, again,
Yeah.
you have absolutely no idea where you're at against some of these guys.
Well, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
If you're going to play the 3s like that,
Yeah.
well, then I think long-term there's negative EV there.
Yeah.
And I say negative expected value. I think if you're calling there, if you don't hit your set, you're going to lead out and then lose. Suddenly you now start losing, you end up losing 2 big bets or, a bet and a half.
Now, Michael leads out here with Queen Jack on a double pair, on a paired ace board, and he takes it down.
Yeah, and you don't have the odds. I don't think you have the odds to do that.
Right.
But if you're taking the 4.5 to 1 and just go, okay, if I hit my set, I'm probably going to make close to 12 to 13 to 1 on this.
Well, remember, when Michael made that play, he wasn't heads up. There were 2 people to act, and these are the kind of the 2 loosest players at the table. So it's just really difficult to know where you're at because and he did get called on the flop by both players.
That's the problem. In a game like this, you're going to get calls and you have no
Yeah.
idea where you're at.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, and also the flop came out with a jack. There's 2 players in there in a raised pot.
Yeah.
Nobody can have a jack there? It's real easy.
Seat number 1 here is going to raise with King Queen. And this guy's really driven the action. Garland gets rid of King 10 off suit.
Now, it's funny, with King 10 off suit there, against a player like seat number 1 who's been raising it all night, I might 3-bet it there.
Right.
I'd never call, but I might 3-bet it and take control of the hand.
Richard really has pretty much been involved with every single hand here.
And King 10 is pretty much a garbage hand, but you're playing the player there. So I was checking out this post on 2+2 last night, and I made a couple of posts, and some guy was claiming that he could win $1 million playing 3-6 no limit hold'em
I actually read
for
that.
a year.
I actually read that thread. No,
The whole thread, it was like 18 pages long.
I did it. Well, I read it last week. I think the guy's point was that if you were a dedicated online player, say multi-table and 10 tables at a time, you could make $1 million playing 3-6 no limit, which is basically the $600 game, which is actually the game I like to 4-table on Party when I play online now, pretty
Okay.
much. Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're putting in, you're getting, what is it, 20,000 hands a day? 200
No,
hands?
I don't think 20,000, but
No?
no.
Okay.
6-5-4 here. Looks like we got King 6 here for seed 8.
How many hands do you get an hour?
If you were playing 10,
How many hands do you get one
Let's-
table in
let's-
an hour?
I'll get to that in a second here. We got a bet here by Harold, and Richard is raised. He's got a straight draw. He's open-ended with the good end of it, because if an 8 comes, he has the... Excuse me, he's got 3-9. I'm sorry. No,
Time.
he does have 7-9. Sam bet with 3-9.
Yeah.
I thought his... And Harold actually folded there to the bet and the raise with King 6.
I don't
Away
mind
from
that at all.
top there. And a good aggressive play there by Richard takes it down. What I was going to say was, at least in limit, remember when I was really keeping close track of it, and I think it, no limit actually goes a little bit slower, but not as much as the
Online.
difference live does online. You average about a hand per minute, 60 hands per table per hour.
So 600 hands
So
per
600
hour.
hands, but it's really difficult to really play more than 5 hours a
So let's
day.
say you did 5 hours a day. We're talking 3,000 hands a day.
A day.
6 days a week.
If you could, you might be able to put in 15, and people out there who know better than this, correct me if I'm wrong, but does anybody know of any player that plays over 20,000 hands a week? I think it's next to impossible. I think 15,000 hands a week is almost
well, I mean,
the cap.
it would almost be okay if you did 6 days a week at 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
You're talking 18,000 hands
Right.
per week. We're talking 76,000 hands
Yeah.
per month.
If anybody does 100,000 hands a month, I mean, that's like all I'm doing is living.
76,000. So 76,000 hands per month. So in a year,
Somewhere
you were
around
talking,
800,000 to a million hands.
Actually, yeah, more like about 920,000 hands.
Yeah.
Now playing 3-6, what is your positive EV per hand? Is it more than? Is it about $1?
I think that, from where I have not put in enough hands to make it even
Okay.
close, but I think that a really good player could do that because I was
Make
at that
$1
amount,
per hand.
dollar at that level, yeah, dollar per
Okay.
hand.
Well, I mean, theoretically, if you could make
Plus
$1,
rake back and bonuses.
that's what I'm saying. If you could make $1 per hand,
Right,
based on that, what we just said, they're playing 6 days a week, 4 hours a day.
right.
You could probably make about 900,000, 920,000.
But again, though, you look at it, and we got a.
I mean, it just seems astronomical to me and utterly ridiculous. But hey, I guess it could happen if you're playing 10 tables at a time.
Turns a queen here, and Sam is going to continue to bet here with a 9. Throw something out.
Is that fun though?
Well, throw something else out at you here at the end of this hand with limit. Now, Harold's trying to figure out if he should call here. He called the flop. Sam has bet again, and he's going to get rid of ace 10.
Wow. Really?
Well, Sam bet the flop, and
Well,
he
Sam
bet the
doesn't
turn.
really show aggression unless he
Yeah.
has something.
Yeah.
And this is probably the smallest thing he has, where he has an open-ended straight draw with a pair. And the river would have been a queen.
Wow.
And I think at that point, clearly Harold's going to
Because
call
let me
down.
throw something else at you. And the
Go
best
ahead.
limit players supposedly make two big bets. What they talk about, 2 big bets per 100 hands. So basically, to kind of turn this around for you in limit, you would need to make $100 per 100 hands to make $1 a hand, right? $100 per 100 hands equals
So if
$1
you were
a
playing
hand.
3-6, you're talking $12 per 100 hands.
So if you played 30-60, and you could multi-table, and you could make 1.8 big bets per 100 hands, that's $1 a hand. You see what I'm saying?
Is that
Like
fun?
the same- Well, what I'm saying is also I don't think you can keep up your A game. You don't understand how tiring and
I gotta be honest,
how much
I
you
gotta shoot
lose at 10. But how much you lose from playing 10 hands at a time, I think. I mean, I've never really played up at that level. And again, people can correct me if I'm wrong.
I would rather stick my head up my ass and play 10 tables
That can give you a bad beat.
a day, 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. That sounds awful.
Got a raise here
I
by
mean-
Sam W.
I got to get to this point in a second, okay? Because it's just so funny when I hear people say this, and hey, if you can do it, teach their own. Hey, all the power to you.
Well, Sam's got the ace here. Sam W.
Yeah, regular Sam's in bad shape, obviously. and Sam W takes it down.
Is there ever going to be a day where you're not going to alienate some of our viewers?
No, I'm not alienating.
I mean, some of these guys. I mean, I assume there's a good portion of the viewers that actually do this.
I'm not alienating them. It's more of a, hey, to each their own. If they can do it, all the power to them. The funny thing to me is what I don't realize is I'm assuming that a lot of the internet players, and a lot of our viewers are younger, maybe single, maybe not. Who knows?
You're saying there's more to life than that, you mean?
No. There's not more to life. Hey, if that's your job,
Yeah.
that's all the power to you. That's great. Now let's get a chip count. We'll do this in a second. 3,900 chips. Sam W's got the most. Sam, not W's, got the least. Let's see how they're doing. Ruben still up 240. Richard up 200. Michael up 130. Owen and Garland are bringing up the rear. Garland, I haven't seen him play a hand, yet he's down 240.
Yeah, I haven't seen him play hand either.
Anyway, I guess my point is this. At 10 hands, at 10 tables a time, at 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, won't you burn out after a while?
I think that's.
I mean, I talked to Sammy Farhar about this. He takes 3 or 4 months off a year because of the stress and the concentration that it takes, the focus, the intensity that playing poker involves.
We got a raise here by Richard. Rick is 3-bet on the button with pocket 10. Or actually, Rick is in the small blind. He is 3-bet, and Richard calls. Well, Rick has got a pair with the gut shot, second pair to the board. Now, Richard also has a pair. He's got second pair on the board. A bet here by Rick and a call by Richard. And look at this, the turn's a 9.
Oh, terrible.
Man. And you wonder, if Richard raises here, is Rick going to fold the 10?
I think it's an easy fold. Because you got to realize now you can't beat a queen, you can't beat a 9, you can't beat Jack 10.
Well, he's going to call. Is he figuring that he still has 6 outs here to win, Dave? If a Jack comes or a 10 comes, the river's a 5. See if he check folds the river. If the guy bets, is he going to fold the river? That's the real question here.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to fold to a river bet, I don't necessarily mind the call on the turn, figuring you have 6 outs.
I got you.
But he does call here.
Yeah. What can you beat? I mean, I got to tell you, Richard's been playing a lot of hands,
Yeah.
but how often has he raised the turn? I mean, is he raising the turn like every other hand? He's not really doing that. He's calling everything pre-flop and then actually playing it pretty passively once the flop comes.
The point I was trying to make
Go
was,
ahead.
if you ever get an edge word in here with you, is that I don't think that the levels of your A game to make $1 a hand, whether it be at 30-60 limit or at 3-6, 600 no limit, the level of play that you need to be at that you can successfully maintain, like you said, for that period of time. Maybe you can do it for a couple months and you have to take a month off. And actually, if you read some of the guys' blogs, Dave, some of the best internet players, that's what they do.
Okay.
They
that
go
makes sense.
hardcore for a little bit and they take some time off.
Yeah.
So it would be difficult
go.
to put a million hands in a year because you have to take time off. And again, I would appreciate anybody to respond and see if that, if what I'm saying about that is true.
I don't, like I said, I have nothing but respect for Flip and Play Online, or I don't, like, there's some people that play in brick and mortar and play live that for some reason or whatever assume, hey, our poker game is better than your game. And there are people that play on the internet that go, our game is better than your game.
Right.
They're just 2 different games. Poker is poker, and as far as I'm concerned, they're all great.
Now, Richard here has raised it up in the cutoff, and Owen here is called. And Richard is check blind, and Owen is check blind, and Richard's made the play that you like to do. He's bet blind in position. Jack 6 deuce here. And look at this, Owen calls with ace 5. And here we go to the turn. The turn's a deuce. Ace 7 is still good now. And now it goes check, check, and the river's a 9.
And
is ace 5 going to play here?
actually, they're not gonna,
Ace 7, excuse me.
the 7 is not going to play. They both have pair of deuces, Jack 9 ace.
Yeah,
And they
you're
chop
right.
it up. I guess my point is this. Okay, another point I should try to say.
When he said
I've
about
been
that, I
propping
know
here for 2
about
years.
that.
Yeah,
I basically played 40 hours a week, sometimes 45 hours a week,
right.
8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I got to tell you, let's say I put in a full month where I didn't take 1 day off or even a couple hours off. At the end of that month, I was actually really tired. And I talked to a lot of professional poker players about this, and they said, professional poker players, especially props, but even professional poker players, you need to take a day off here and there. You need to.
Oh, of
You
course.
have to. And I guess that's my question. As I look at it and I think, wow, if I was playing 10 tables,
No, I think
they take time off.
I
They
think
have
the burnout rate is extreme, and I think if you look at the best internet players, they do take time off. They might go at it like that for a while, but you can't sit there and tell me that you cannot play 10 tables at your A game for 8 hours a day. No, there's just no way. Your mind, at your A level. I think the more you play, the more your game falls off, and now you've lost what you're trying to do.
Of course.
Right?
Well, I guess the question is also let me throw this at you. Kind of a life philosophical question.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that most players that play online for a living do it because they like it.
I'll take the sip.
They choose this profession because they like it. I mean, I know I'm a professional poker player and a commentator because I love it. Here, let's get to the flop here. 10, deuce, 8. Couple of hearts out there. Everybody's missed. Richard still has the best hand.
Sam's going to bet.
No. You're going to be over here.
And Richard raised it up at 7s.
Did he raise an ace-6 called? Turns a 4.
And that's one of those times where I go, if you bet and somebody raises you and you have ace-6 here, throw it away. You don't even have the ace of hearts. I mean, you have nothing.
And now Richard bets.
And he throws it away. Oftentimes we see somebody bet in there, they get raised, they have to call one more time. And Richard shows the best hand.
Nice hand, sir.
Anyway,
I don't want to make blank. I mean, we're entitled to our opinions, but you sometimes do it in like more of a loud voice. I don't want to make blanket statements because I really don't necessarily know the answer to that. I mean, it's easy for us to say when we don't do it.
What's the question?
And you're over here.
Which question are we talking about here?
After this hand.
Maybe somebody can do it without a burnout level.
Hey, all the power to them if they can.
Yeah.
I guess my question, at least for me, like I said, to each their own. If you can do it, hey, all the power to you. To me, one of the reasons why I do this, one of the reasons I am a commentator,
Right.
I love it. I love playing poker. I love talking about poker. I love sitting there. I love looking at the cards. I love playing the psychology of it. I love it.
Yeah.
The reason I'm a professional poker player is the same reason. I love it. If I started playing 10 tables at the same time, for me, it would no longer be fun. I'm actually wondering, and I'd love people to email us and let us know if you play 8, 9 tables, if you're a professional poker player online, is it still fun for you? Or is it all just about the money?
Now look at this. We had a raise here on the button. Garland struggled with his fold, but he folded ace-jack offsuit and small blind, seat 5. Now seat 8's in there with ace-10 offsuit. We're going to see 1, 2, 3,
Now,
4,
he was
5,
the small blind, which I think is the
6-way
correct
action.
laydown.
Yeah, absolutely. Now 8 deuce 3 here. We've got 12 small bets in the pot. Kings has an overpair.
Now, often if I'm in a big blind with ace-jack there, I will throw in the extra half bet because I'm getting so much odds.
Now this
for
is
money.
interesting. Sam here is come out and bet. He has top pair. If I had this hand, I actually might check raise the button who was the pre-flop raiser. It's just a way to play it because he's going to bet. Remember, you're not going to get anybody to fold for one
Right.
small bet here. Maybe drive those overcards out. I mean, he's struggling with laying queen 9 down here on this flop.
All right. Talk me out of it.
And he does. I'm saying if you were going to play 8-10 here, might you check raise here when you
Yeah.
know the button's going to bet?
If you think maybe the button has ace-king, yeah, it's definitely a way to play it.
And seat 4 there, Owen, he's going to raise. We call him object to object in his hand. Turns a 5.
I like that. I like object.
And button's going to bet here again, and Sam Shet calls as we head to the river. And the river's a deuce.
And Kings are going to win this.
Kings should bet again here for value.
Definitely.
But he checks it.
Yeah.
Wow. Again, that's another big bet lost.
Yeah,
Talking about
$16.
$16 mistake there by Owen there.
Well, it's funny when you go home and you look at your little, you open your wallet and you go, what did I win tonight? You
Right.
go, oh, I won $19, or I won $35,
Right.
or I lost $35. That's 16 that clearly you gave up.
Right.
I hope you don't misconstrue. I mean, I'm in no way attacking the internet players. I have the utmost respect for them. To me, it just would not be fun anymore. I'll put it this way: there are a lot of ways to make money in this world. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as my life philosophy goes, I want to make sure I have fun while I'm living.
In 22 Skidoo here, I was actually talking about 30-60 limit hold'em at $1 million hands per year. 2 big bets would actually be $1.2 million, or 3-6 no limit, which I think at the same level can make the same money. I'm saying that we screwed up the math, but I was actually talking about 30-60 limit hold'em,
Right.
not
Well,
36 hold'em.
my math is actually the other way around. I was saying how many hands, playing 6 days a week at
Right.
4 hours a day, 10 tables at a time, how many hands of no limit hold'em will you get in?
Right.
And I think we came up with 900,000 hands approximately.
Somewhere between probably
then-
700 to $1 million
Right,
if
and I
you
guess-
played full time.
Right.
Yeah.
My next question was, what is your expected value per hand
Right.
in no limit hold'em?
Right.
Is it $1 a hand?
5-5-7 here on the flop, couple diamonds. Garland's got tripped. Well, Garland is not in the hand. The other thing you have to factor that we're not also factoring in is rake back deals and bonuses, which actually you can actually make somewhere between 10 and 15 cents per hand. So if you're playing at those levels, it's an extra 100,000 rake back in bonuses.
Right.
So there you go. Turns a 3
No
here,
kicker.
and the river's a 9. And now Richard's going to bet out here with ace deuce. He's got ace high, and he's going to take it down.
And I'm assuming the online casinos also have, if you're playing that much, they probably have some sort of great VIP deal as well for you as well. Yeah. So.
But again, I think the point of this discussion was to kind of say that there's no way that you can play at a level that amounts to making that amount of money at $1 per hand at those levels for that period of time. I think the burnout factor, again, I don't know this, but I'm speculating the burnout factor is too much. You know, your level of play is going to go down as you get mentally tired.
Definitely, you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you straight out, there will be
How about just the shell?
sometime over the next 3 months, there will be a 2-week span where I won't play poker.
Right.
You know, I'll do the show and just go home. I'll just mentally take my mind off of poker.
No raise. I want everybody to call.
Limp here. Now, Garland's got pocket deuces in seat 5. There are 2 limpers, and he's going to limp. I don't necessarily mind it there after a couple callers in position. But now we're going to have a raise. It looks like on the button, we can't see his card, Sam in seat 6.
Sam I am need to put his hand out there, huh?
He's got king 10 of hearts. And we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-way action here times a double-sized bet. 8, 8, 3 on the flop.
I think I have an 8.
And Richard, he says, I think I have an 8, but and I'll check it. And he's telling the truth. Now, Garland actually bets the deuces here. And king 10 is all in. And let's see how Richard's going to play trip 8s. He checked it from up front. And he is going to call. And I assume he's probably going to check raise. Garland might even take a card here on the turn. The turn's a 7.
Wow, and now Richard's got a full house.
Yeah, Garland does take a card. And the river's a 5. And Richard bets, and Garland is out of there. And it's the full house, top full house there, 8's full of 7s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Garland nods. Guess that's where he probably figured that out.
Yep. You know, the other thing, too, I was actually reading something about 30-60 limit hold'em. Somebody posted up a thread, I don't know, many, many months ago. 2 big bets per 100 hands at the lower levels, I think, is somewhat more obtainable than, say, 30-60. So I remember seeing where they had posted, like, the top guys from some of their poker tracker statistics would say, you know, a minimum of, like, several hundreds of thousands of hands. And the top guys are only making about 1.6, 1.7 once it gets up to that upper level.
Right.
And you can imagine the variential swing or the bankroll you have to play that game.
Well, 10 tables at 30-60.
Yeah.
That's huge.
As we take a look at a setup here.
And I guess it just becomes, I'm assuming, I mean, obviously I have no experience playing 10 hands at a time.
Yeah.
10 tables at a time. I'm assuming that it just becomes, it's just mechanical, pure
especially limit. Now, the other thing, though, too, we addressed was, I'm talking about full ring games with the 60 hands per. I mean, some guys will say 4 or 5 tables, 6-handed games where you'll get in maybe 80 hands per hour per table.
Okay.
So you might even be able to get in 500 hands an hour playing, say, 4 or 5 tables of 6-handed play. So, again. Although I really find it when I multi-table, and I know I do this a lot more than you do online, I feel like I'm almost giving away too much, especially no limit playing 6-handed multi-table. I find it much more difficult than a full ring game.
I mean, I feel like an idiot because I do more than 2 tables.
Yeah.
I'm lost. Like 2 tables is my maximum. Because you know what ends up happening? I start panicking. It's like almost like I'm cooking an Italian dinner, and like the pots are going. Because suddenly the computer starts beeping at me, like, "Oh, you have to do this," and I'm going, and I start panicking. More than 2 tables, forget it. I can't do it.
Seat number 4 here is going to raise with 9-10 of clubs. And looks like he might take it down here.
I don't think I even need to look at this one.
I just saw one of them.
Yeah, like I said, after I saw 3, I didn't even need to look at the other one. I was just trying
Why
to
did
figure
Michael
out.
leave? Not sure. I'm surprised he left. I figured he'd stay in the game. I mean, we haven't seen him on the show before. I really thought he'd stay.
What's the best card going to be with it? 3 of spades, and I still really don't want to call you.
Once again, I want to reiterate that obviously, I mean, I have nothing but respect for those internet players. When I was reading the thread last night, it was more in just amazement that somebody actually was saying they could play that many hands and that many tables at a time. And it's just like, I mean, Bart plays a lot more online than I do. I predominantly will play online to play tournaments, play satellites to get into big tournaments, but I really enjoy playing live. Get a raise here out of seat number 3. Ruben there raises it up with a couple of ladies, queens. And Harold's going to call this with ace queen on the button. Now this is the hand he's got ace queen off. This is the hand that I'm going to re-raise it or I'm going to throw it away. And probably more often re-raise than throw it away. But Ruben did raise under the gun. And Ruben, Richard checks blind. Richard also called it the ace-3. He checked blind. Ruben's going to bet it. Harold's going to get away from it. It's a pretty ugly flop. Or what do I know? Look, he's not going to call, is he? Wow. I mean, he has the ace of spades back draw, but I can't believe he's going for this. Deuce on the turn changes nothing. And I guess check, check. The river's a 10, and it checks down, and Ruben's going to win this with queens. You know, and that's the part of the game of Harold's game I just don't understand. Plays really well. I mean, I guess everybody can make a mistake once in a while. Real solid player. You see a flop like that, the only card you really don't want to see when you have ace-queen is a king. He sticks in there. Now, like I was saying, to me, playing live poker is fun. I enjoy it. But hey. Once again, you can email us your opinion, your criticisms, your comments, praise, whatever you want to say. Email us at live@thebike.com. You can also follow us on a live thread at 2plus2.com. Just go to forums, go to World Poker Tour and other events, and then click on Live at the Bike thread for April 17th.
Yep.
Tonight is Limit Hold'em night, and I got to tell you, I'm kind of enjoying Monday. It's kind of like easing back into the poker through a nice limit night.
Kenny can become our MySpace friend as well if you want. Yeah. Looks like we got it limped around here 4 ways. Flop comes out 4-4-7.
Raise.
And Eric is going to bet here with ace-10. And Owen here is going to raise on a pure draw, and he's going to take it down there. It was open-ended. Heart, he had hearts there on a black flop. He makes the raise, and he takes it down. Now, is that a case there where you don't really quite understand the raise there by Owen? Actually won him the pot. He drove everybody else out with the semi-bluff.
Yeah, the only reason the raise in this case could be good is Owen is such a tight player that maybe somebody might put him on a 4.
Button moves over here to seat 1.
Hey, I love this email here from Bernie. Hey guys, man, big fan of your show. I thought of an idea for your show. Thought you guys could do a short little skit demonstrating your acting skills, poker related or unrelated. Something you guys write or someone submits, or from say a movie. Just a thought. Later, guys.
Interesting.
You're not that keen on the idea, are you? Hold back the enthusiasm, please.
I'm trying to follow some of the action, but gotta tell you, man. Sometimes
I'm difficult. Huh?
Yeah.
I try.
Ace 8-9 of diamonds here on the flop. Sam is gonna bet with the flush draw, and he takes it down. Dale Earnhardt, you a big NASCAR guy?
Do I look like a big NASCAR guy?
I don't think so. Are you from upstate New York?
What the hell does that mean? I'm from upstate New York, not upstate Alabama.
Oh, come on. That means that everybody who's a NASCAR fan is from, where Isaac grew up?
Pretty much, yeah.
Button moves over here to seat 2.
No, I'm not a big. I'm not a big car racing guy. I mean, I like driving fast.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Isaac, of course, grew up in Tennessee. Of course, he'll always tell you, Isaac is not a NASCAR fan, but he's a big Formula One fan.
Yeah.
There's some sort of big
Loves
difference.
that.
Raised here by ace-9 clubs. Richard is called with pocket 6s.
I mean, both sports, they have 4 wheels and they go pretty fast, right?
4-way action here. 8 small bets in the pot.
Well, Sam's got the nut flush draw.
He does indeed.
There you go. Is this better? We're following the action. Limit hold'em, folks.
Sam is bet here with nut clubs, and Richard is called with third pair to the board. He beats the 4.
Okay.
And there's the nut flush there for Sam. And I
Richard
think
is drawing dead.
Yep, and he bets, and Richard calls. And the river here is an 8.
And Sam W bets again.
And Richard calls the whole way with pocket 6s, Dave.
Whatever, not much more.
I mean, the only hand you can beat is, say, King Queen.
King, queen, yeah. Maybe the guy had a club, too, like a king or a queen or a club.
King, queen with the
bang,
king club.
yeah.
Did you have a pair on the board?
That's about it.
Start manufacturing.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying.
That was it.
He said I had a flush. That was it.
What if we got a pair with the flush?
Yeah.
Well, he played lousy, but he won the fight.
Button moves over here to seat number 3.
I didn't put him on that because he usually plays ace king off suit.
Hey, where's Russ McGinley, man? I haven't heard.
The young guy was saying
I don't know.
I haven't seen him on the thread in many
mistake.
many eons.
You send that a
Weeks.
missing picture. Have you
Yeah.
seen this guy? I mean, he's not small.
Yeah.
Should be able to find him.
Button moves over here to seat 3.
You're finding a lot of cards over here.
Seat 7 is going to limp in early position here with
Trying
what?
to be
King
patient.
10 of spades. And again, Garland really has not played a hand.
No, I mean, he's down $240 and he's played like 3 hands.
Queen Jack 3 here. Bet here by Eric with Queen 7. Now King 10 is open-ended. Just a call here in position. Sometimes you might pop that up. He's got backdoor spades as well. Turns another queen, and now Eric has got trip queens, and he comes out and bets
I'm
again.
going to start really paying attention to what Garland's throwing away. It's just that I'm curious.
Well, Garland's not in the hand. It's Eric with Queen 8. A bet here and a call. And here we go to the river. And the river's an ace, and King 10 gets there. 3 clubs on board. And a bet here by Queen 8, and a raise here by Owen with the straight. And Eric pays him off with the trip queens. King 10 makes the straight.
I mean the straight, excuse me, the straight.
Same difference.
There it is. Well, that hand, it was 10-3 that he threw away.
10-3, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just going to keep track of it. I'm just curious. You know, it's funny. Somebody was mentioning on 2+2 board about, I think you start referring to seat number 1, Richard, where there's one guy who's playing a little loose and actually getting really lucky tonight. And it's funny, players like that often influence a lot of other players.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize that he's just winning in the short term.
But you didn't hear it from me.
And they look at a player like that in seat number 1, Richard, and they go, hey, he's winning. Maybe I'll start playing like that. Maybe I should start playing more hands. I'll play more loose aggressive like he has.
Right.
And they don't realize that in the long term, there's no way a player like Richard can win
Right.
in limit hold'em. He's just putting his money in with too many inferior hands.
Hey, this is a great email here by Eric Peterson.
Okay.
And actually, we have not addressed this. He says, when I was at 3-6 limit, still working for a living, I was 6 to 8 tabling. And I believe the biggest problem besides burnout was actually table selection.
Okay.
You got to remember though, because if you're there, you don't really have a lot of time to look for the good tables, right? While you're playing.
Obviously.
I know a lot of players who multi-table, and I think all of them have big issues with table selections. They'll be on a table that's tight aggressive with no position on any bad players and not really know it because they're just ABCing it. I know that was my problem. There's no way you can keep track of table conditions and make adjustments, even when using heads-up displays. And he says, by the way, I play 8,000 hands per week.
Okay.
Now he just 3 tables, 10, 20, and 15, 30 limit, and he's in between jobs. So there you go.
I'm going to call.
Well, thanks a lot. Really do appreciate that
Yeah.
email by Eric Peterson. So he plays a lot.
8,000
Get about
hands.
8,000 hands
Yeah.
in a week. Okay. It's a good reference point.
You got a flop flush here for Richard. See
Yeah.
if he's going to put money out.
Now, the nice thing about his his flush, by the way, is he's not scared if another card comes off. Nobody can have a straight flush because he's got blocking cards. Somebody can have a higher flush.
Now, Sam came out and bet, and now Sam's made 2 pair. Richard did not raise, and now Richard raises. Now he raises on the big bet round.
And Sam's got 2
Oh, I
pairs.
did.
Here we go to the river. River's a 9.
That changes nothing.
Now, a 7 can 7-10 beat anything here, but
Nothing.
he makes the check call.
Yeah.
You got a flush, you're good, man.
Yep.
Nice hand.
And again, have we ever seen Richard say, is there a possibility that Richard is raising with, say, King 10 with the King of Spades? We haven't seen him do that. Most players at this level don't know to do that. with the
Yeah,
spade
not
pair.
usually. I mean, he did raise before with pocket 7s
Yeah.
on a 10-9 3 board, so.
Yeah.
They always call you troublemaker when you win a couple of small pots.
Hey, nice hand, sir. You got a better hand than me.
button moves over here to seat number 5.
Anything that pairs the board.
Couple of ace queens. Ace queen for Sam W. and Garland has ace queen. So I think that Garland's going to enter this one, Dave.
Raise it.
Now seat 9 is going to raise. He's not that loose. Let's see how Garland's going to play it. Do you 3-bet here on the button? He's got ace queen offsuit. With an offsuit hand, maybe the 3-bet take control of the hand here.
I definitely. I was talking about this actually when you left the production room for a second. I think this is a 3-bet or a fold, and I think with your image there, I think you 3-bet it. You
All right.
hopefully you get rid of Sam. You might even get rid of Harold because you're so tight.
I never understand this. I've seen good players do it too. Small, even calling one raise in the small blind with suited connector. If you weren't going to call a raise out back with the suited connector, why on earth would you call it from the small
Harold's
blind
going to
with
call,
3 bets?
and Sam is certainly going to call now. And we're seeing this, 12.
Yeah.
12 small bets to the
Small
flop.
bet. Chances are ace queen are gonna miss this flop. Jack 10-6, and look at this. Sam's got a flush draw. Now Harold's got middle pair.
Now you might take the card or you might bet this.
Well, ace queen's gonna come out and bet. Garland calls, and everybody calls. Harold has the best hand right now. Here we go to the turn. Oh, the turn is a king, and
Wow.
Sam has a flush.
Now, interesting though, Garland and Sam both have straights.
Right.
And Garland's got the queen of diamonds in his hand.
Look at this. A bet
this
by
is
Sam,
fireworks.
a call by Harold, who's made kings up.
Oh.
Seat 9 raises, and Garland, let's see if he's going to re-raise.
I tell you, this was a gin card for everybody here. 2 pair for Harold.
Two
a
pair,
flush.
2 straights. Garland's open-ended royal flush draw. And Sam has got the best hand with the low flush.
Any diamond will do it for Garland, though.
3 bets here on the turn.
Harold needs a king or a 10.
Yep.
And Sam W. is drawing dead. He cannot win the pot. He can only chop it.
Yep.
Actually, no, he can't even chop it. He's drawing dead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no way that Sam W. with the nut straight here. And let's see if Sam caps it. No, he just calls. And Harold folds. Harold's out of there with king 10.
Well, he's got to put somebody in a diamond, right? It's pretty obvious.
And here we go to the river. Big pot, biggest pot of the night here. To the river. And it's a queen.
Wow, and Sam's going to win. Flush.
Now Garland bets. And he's going to get 2 overcalls, but Sam is going to win it with a low flush here.
I got the same hand you got.
I'm a little, I don't know. I
I'm
mean,
really shocked he bet the river.
are you shocked that he bet the river?
Yeah.
Remember, Sam came out and bet the turn. You got a raise in there by C9. Garland 3-bet and Sam call. There's a possibility that someone's in there afraid of a smaller flush.
Yeah.
That's a big pot there.
Yeah, I mean, I got to. If you're 3-betting that, I think you're 3-betting that the same reason we talked about before. You're 3-betting that. If you happen to make the flush, you can bet the river. You can bet you can bet the river. But if you don't, you just get the free showdown.
Nothing we can do about that.
They didn't put him on a flush, straight flush.
No,
He made it 3 bets.
definitely somebody have a flash higher than me.
And Pajeto on 2+2 quickly points out that there are no Formula One fans from Tennessee. The budget of a Formula One team is greater than the gross domestic product of Tennessee. Tennessee is NASCAR country.
That's right. NASCAR country. That was actually one of the best,
Favorite customer.
really a great movie by ESPN 3, the Dale Earnhardt story.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
Richards brought this one in with pocket jacks here.
And Queen 10 has outflopped him.
How about 6-10? Trip 6s. Queen 6-6.
Oh, wow.
Now Sam bets here with the queen. Richard calls. I think if you've got jacks, you have to raise or fold there.
See, now, if Owen bets right into it, right?
Oh, yeah.
He probably gets called by Richard. He might even get raised by Sam.
Oh, now there's a spade out there.
And
Well,
now he's going
now
to
he comes out and bets. Now Sam calls with a spade draw, and Richard has the higher spade draw.
By
He
checking
calls.
it, you make the minimum money. If
Yeah.
he bets his hand, he makes the maximum.
And
look at
river
that.
is a jack, and Richard fills up on the... And Sam's going to call, and Richard should pop this up on the river, and he does.
Definitely. Easy pop-up.
Now, once Owen calls, Sam really should fold Queen 10, and
And
he
he does. Good laydown.
I mean, it's almost like Owen... Let's say that Jack hadn't come. Owen played that hand so backwardsly that he would have made the least amount because he check called the flop, then he led out on the turn. He never got like a big bet in there.
Well, the third spade scared him, and I guess he felt like he needed to.
He didn't want someone to check behind it, right?
The funny thing is if he bets the flop,
Yeah.
he might get raised by seat 9, might get an overcall, or he might have actually driven out seat 1
Yeah.
and wins the pot.
Well, play your sixes. That's what
Can you
happens.
go up? There was a post by Baron that I'd love to see up a little higher, actually. Check it out.
That was a
There
thought.
it is.
Check raise, you might have
Getting handed a special note here from Isaac.
All right, one-time raise. Raise it.
He says NASCAR and fabulous in the same sentence? Question mark?
He raised. Fold.
And he always points out that NASCAR, all they do is turn left, right?
Thank you, Baron, for your 2+2 post.
Get a raise here by seat 1 with 9-6 off suit, and the big blind is called with ace-5. Well, 9-6 open-ended here.
Yeah.
I'm a bet.
Richard bets.
I'm
And
gonna
Sam
bet.
calls with ace-high. Turns a king. Now, this is, again, if I had a draw here, I wouldn't take the card on the turn with the king coming.
Yeah.
River's a deuce. And now ace-5 bluffs at it.
I was open-ended.
You know, if 6-9 bets that turn, Dave,
He wins the pot.
he wins the pot. Now, people might say, well, yeah, but I'm scared of getting check raised if someone has a 7. You can't give a guy credit for a 7 if your head's up. I don't think Sam can call there on the turn, can he?
Yeah, I mean, in this game, unfortunately, or fortunately, seems like everybody takes one off,
Right.
regardless of what they're holding.
Right.
And it almost pays to fire twice.
Raise it.
Get a raise here. Seat number 2, Rick Nebbiolo is going to bring this one in for a raise with ace-10 of spades under the gun, Dave. Now, that was kind of one of those hands I say that's kind of like in between. I like the raise as opposed to just the limp. Now, it is, I guess they are suited cards, but
4 players.
now we're going to see 4-way action here. 5-way action, actually. Jack 3-4. Well, Rick has missed. Let's see if he shuts down.
Well, Richard might bet this.
Yeah,
he does.
Richard might bet, and I think Rick is probably just going to fold.
Easy fold for Rick here. He
Yeah.
missed it completely. We see so many players get stubborn and go, no, you know, I raised, I'm going to keep it the sand, no matter what.
Now look at this. Sam says, I call one time. He's got the ace of clubs. And again, and Harold, did Harold overcall with pocket sixes?
And you know Sam is going to call it deuce 5.
Sam's
It's
open-ended, yeah. Here we
Back
go
to our
the
hearts.
turns. Turns a queen. King Jack is still good here.
Now, this is the part of Harold's game I just don't understand. It's like
Yeah.
he overcalled a bet and an overcall there. I just don't understand it.
Checked around. The river's a 7, and King Jack is still good. Then still might go check all the way around here.
Show him.
5 high, can't win.
5 high.
And if Harold had actually hit his set, he wouldn't have been good because Sam was in there with the deuce
Yeah.
5.
Oh, Harold was almost drawing, was actually drawing dead to running. Yeah.
Running full house cards,
Yeah.
right?
Now we talk about Richard there. Now Richard probably should have bet the turn. You can't immediately assume that
Right.
somebody else has a queen. There's also a flush out there. You don't want to give that free card. Interesting post on 2+2 board by K. Dubom.
I think that's a good guess.
Is it?
Basically, he's talking about the views on the morals and ethics of professional poker.
Ruben is raised here with pocket queens under the gun.
Just as I said that, I think Ronnie ruined.
These guys are chasing.
Harold here has made the smooth call with ace-jack of clubs. One of these few hands that you actually can smooth call a raise with. Usually in limit, I think I think it's more of a re-raise or fold type situation. And Richardson, they were 4-5. Well, there's the ace. Now, it looks like Ruben is just checked, so Harold's going to bet.
Jinx, you owe me a beer.
Richard's got a gut shot here. And Ruben just gets away from it, which a lot of times, you know, people say it's an easy fold, but at this level, you see so many people taking one off. The turn's an 8, it's third diamond.
I'll take a St. Pauli girl.
Harold bets again. So Richard's going to chase. He's got a diamond would actually be good. I don't know how he would know that. He calls.
I check in the dark.
Richard checks in the dark, and the river is a jack, and this is an easy value bet here for Harold.
The only thing you're thinking, though, is what if the guy's calling me the whole time at 9-10? But I'm going to bet anyway.
Chasing a diamond.
Six for a diamond.
Yeah. Now, if you bet that with ace-jack, and you get raised in the river, are you calling him? Remember, he checked blind.
I know you're a solid
Could he be
player,
chasing
but
9-10 the whole time?
I always
I
know
mean,
when you're in the
he's got to be in there with something, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting, this post talking about, is it ethical to exploit maybe people that are addicted to gambling or have degenerate habits. Is it ethical to intentionally exploit these people? Yes, I realize that poker is a fair game, and anybody that chooses to sit down is making the choice to do so. Love your show and love poker, but those are some thoughts in the back of my mind whenever I'm playing. Plus, as a professional poker player, or plus, he's a professional poker player, productive member of society. Interesting. Look at this. Sam W's got pocket aces here in seat 9. He raises.
Me and you, man.
This guy's got me thinking.
4 players.
I
Four-way
might jump up a
action.
building tonight now.
8-6-6 here, and the aces are good.
It's not a bad flop for 5s. I mean, obviously they're not good, but it's not a terrible flop for 5s.
Well, let's see how Rick is going to play it. We got a
Bet like you got it,
continuation bet by Sam W.
I mean, this is a spot where you're either going to raise the 5s or throw it away, right? There's no
Well,
way
I
you're
think
calling.
that Richard is going to call, and now Rick, he's just going to fold it, I'm sure. I mean, you don't necessarily give credit for Richard having anything, but yeah, Rick.
Yeah, I think in this game, when you're playing small pocket pairs, you're really playing them just to hit a set.
It's set a release. You don't want to get, like I said, that's why I gave Michael Davis a little hard time with the 3s before.
Yeah, you
Turn is 7 here.
Because the problem is players like Richard are just calling with
Yeah.
overcards, and you have no idea where you're at.
Is Richard going to call again here with overcards? Says maybe I have ace. Maybe you have ace king. I'm going to call you here again.
2 of you.
Here we go to the river. River's king.
Check.
All right.
Pair aces.
Well, I don't.
One pair, aces, and 6.
You check the river there,
Nice
Dave.
hand.
It's surprising.
Yeah.
The way that Richard's maybe played that, you maybe put him on an 8 or something. Maybe
Yeah.
he was checking to induce a bluff too. I mean,
Yeah, not a bad play.
yeah, it's not.
Beautiful hand.
If you put the guy on maybe a 9 or a 5.
Yeah.
So do you ever feel empty as a poker player? That's weird because you actually do a show for it, and you provide entertainment and hopefully entertain a lot of people watching the show. It's a different thing
Right.
for us, obviously. But just as a professional poker player, do you ever feel somewhat empty? Feel free, open up.
Let's take a look at the chip count.
Anything to avoid it, huh?
I like you better when you're
$4,000 on the table. Sam W's got the most.
I'll play with you guys.
Eric's at the least. Let's see how they're doing.
Oh, look at Richard.
Donna, food service.
$520. Garland's down $400. Wow,
6 players.
unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. You talk about Garland's, I'd choke to death.
6-way action here. Ace, ace, queen on the flop. Nobody has an ace. Now we've got king, queen here. And I believe that Owen let out for a bet, and Harold called with a gut shot to the 10. It is a paired board.
Yeah, I like the bet by Owen. Really like the bet by Owen.
Turns an 8.
check again.
And I think it's going to go check, 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 check.
I gotta tell you, Harold makes some odd calls sometimes.
Yeah.
King Jack on that board. I mean, if there was at least one club out there, maybe you could take one off.
Right.
But what are you trying to hit?
No, I agree with you. It is funny, though, regarding, like, poker playing. Well, now you could almost make a case where being a professional poker player, it's almost like being an athlete in the case where so many people watch it on TV that if you get up to that level, it's entertainment for others. So you can say, well, what is a professional athlete? But before it was ever big on TV, it was almost like a thing where I'm trying to think of, like, say, 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, what was it necessarily there for?
You could still say it's for entertainment. Okay.
Entertaining other people.
Well, let's think about it. Let's just take a random player, okay? Let's take a player like Ed, okay?
Yeah.
Ed is a professional, he's a businessman, very successful, has a lot of money, and he comes here to wind down for entertainment. Well, if he has nobody to entertain, play with,
I let you win one pot.
he won't be
Still 3
entertained.
of them.
He needs somebody to play with.
I did, sir.
Yeah.
Why not it be us?
Why did you even ask? I don't.
Who called?
Obviously, yeah, today, I mean, obviously a Daniel Negreanu,
Raise?
a Phil Hellmuth, you know, obviously I think they're providing a lot of entertainment to millions of people.
I got a call.
King 4-3 here.
I got just enough to call.
Now we have a bet out here by, looks like Garland, who's leading with King Jack, and he has the best hand. Let's root for him, see if he can win. Now Richard, look at this. Richard is called here with 8-10 of hearts on this board.
Well, he's got a draw.
And Owen's in there with Queen Jack. And look at this. Richard picks up the backdoor heart draw.
I told you he had a draw. I knew it was coming.
I don't know what Owen was doing in there either. Owen calls. He picks up pair.
Is it?
And look at this. Now Richard is actually going to raise here on the draw. First time he's done this tonight. And I think this might drive Garland out of the hand. Oh, man.
And Richards played ultra.
Yeah.
He's played a lot of hands, but
Yeah,
he
look at
hasn't
that.
really made
Garland's out
that
of there.
move. And wow, the one hand Garland was going to win.
Yep. And Owen calls.
I hope a heart comes at least for his sake.
Yeah, so it could save Garland some money.
Oh.
Rivers and ace. Wow.
Time.
I got to think Richard's got a bet here, doesn't he? He got a bet here with the ace coming. Hope that maybe this guy
What was
will
the
lay
point
it
of
down.
check raising?
Well, he raised, but he gets a call by third pair anyways. With Queen Jack.
No, he has 10 high.
No, you don't. You have a 10 high. Queens will take it.
What did he say he had?
Heart.
What did he announce he said?
I don't know. I think Garland folded the best hand there, but can you really blame him?
Well, you don't call. You got king.
For some of those people out there on the board, actually, seat number 7 called 3-5 of diamonds for 3 bets cold in the small blind.
Yeah.
That hand. 3 bets. A raise by under the gun and a re-raise by Garland.
Hey, do you ever feel guilty? Let's say there's a guy in the game that's just clearly a fish and he's just bleeding off chips.
Bad decision, but
Do you ever feel guilty taking his chips?
It's called gambling.
I don't. I mean, call me
Okay.
a bad person.
I'm not calling you a bad person.
I don't.
Just
You know,
question.
maybe that's. I feel that I do have ethics and I'm somewhat of a moral guy, but
Well,
that's something that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I don't know how you would be able to do what we do if that did bother you, right? We got a raise here by Richard. Nebbiolo's got pocket queens. He's going to 3-bet, but Richard's got kings.
Steam race.
Well, he's protecting Richard's hand.
Yeah.
I'm steaming.
But how could you possibly
And look
get
at
away
this. Seat number 1 is going to call 3-bets cold with Jack 7 of clubs.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And Richard caps it, as he rightly should, with kings.
How do you call 3 bets cold with Jack 7?
Well, he actually had limped in before, so he called 2 more bets. 3-way action here. 10, 5, 8. Kings bets, and I assume that Rick, let's see if he raises here on this board. Garland is not in the hand. Rick raises with queens. Going to try to charge Jack 7 the most.
And Richard's going to raise.
Re-raise here by Richard. Boy, at this point, do you give this guy credit for something better than queens?
It's hard not to. Okay, the only hand, I mean, if he's got a legitimate hand, the only hand you can beat right now are jacks. Can't be
Right.
10s anymore either.
3-way action to the turn. Turns a heart.
Wow, and look at this. And now Sam has picked up the open-ended straight draw. He needs a 9 or a 4 to win this hand, and he's not going to go anywhere. But you wonder with 3 hearts out there.
Richard bets again. And now when Sam is in there, I wonder if Rick would ever fold, maybe thinking that Sam was on a flush draw, but he calls again. You know, now you've got 3 people in the hand. Here we go to the river. The river's a king of hearts.
And nobody has a heart, though. Look at that. And Richard's going to win this with a set of kings.
And Rick, I think, is going to turn over the queens. Yep.
Show your cards.
But 3 kings is going to win. 3 kings.
3 of them.
Yep.
Yeah, and you wonder, I mean, it's always hard. Hey, Limit Hold'em, you know, you have an overpair, usually you're going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
You wonder, though, if Rick kind of overplayed that. The only problem is, though, seat 1 has really been getting a lot of action. He just showed down a 10 high bluff.
Right.
So, tough,
Can't
to
really-
give him credit for hands.
Well, interesting. Arvin on 2+2 says, David Barr, you guys mentioned that a good limit player can win maybe 60% of their sessions, while a good no-limit player can win like 80% of the time. Why is this? Because of suck-ups and limit? Thanks. Well, I think it's more of because no limit is a game where you can make someone pay dearly for their mistake and win their entire stack, whereas in limit it's just 1 extra bet.
You can also, you can play a lot less hands in no limit and still win for the night. Still win that session.
Whereas in limit, if you're not getting hands, you're paying the blinds each round.
I mean, I like to compare, let's say the 5-10 no limit game, the 5-10 blind game.
Yeah.
That's probably the equivalent to, say, the 30-60 limit game.
Right.
Now, if you don't get a hand, every orbit costs you $50 in the other game,
Right.
while it only costs you $15 in the 5-10 game.
Right.
So obviously, you've got to play a lot more hands in Limit Hold'em. You have to win more hands in Limit Hold'em to have a winning night.
Raised here by Richard with pocket 6s. Now Owens hit top pair with King Jack, couple spades out there, and
Harold's open-ended,
Yeah,
yeah.
Harold's got the open-ended straight draw. Owens gonna bet with the King Jack. Backdoor hearts.
Is Richard going to call this with 6s? Overcall?
The answer is yes.
I mean, you get a bet, a call, another call, and he's overcalling with 6s.
Yeah, but I know that.
Turns a 5, and now Owen also has a flush draw here.
Well, Richard's picked up a straight draw.
Yeah. So funny, Dave. I was talking to you before the show about this situation in no limit when you have top pair with a flush draw, when you're up front,
I'm drawing dead.
sometimes how you can check and call to either play it tricky or to control pot size, but that's for another day.
Yeah. Another day, another
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. I'll get into that more tomorrow. Here we go to the river.
Even if
Queen
it's
3 is still in there. And the river's a deuce.
that certainly helps.
Queen 3 chasing the gut shot to the 10. And Owen is going to check, and he's going to win it with the king.
Yeah, see, there's the 10.
Take it down, Owen.
I was worried about the 10 being out there.
Yep.
7. Saving is a 6. It wasn't there on the flop in the turn. Pocket 6.
Got about an hour left in the show, a little under an hour. Now, a rack of $2 chips in this game is $200. A stack is 40. 5 stacks to a rack. The stack is 20 chips. Again, we're playing 8-16 limit hold'em with a green chip structure, 4-8 chip structure game. Similar, same thing as the 20-40, same thing as the 100-200, same thing as 4-8. And it's usually either 4-8 chip structured or 3-6 chip structured games.
Right.
Although I remember the 10 hold'em game that we used to have here was a 2-4 structured game,
Right.
which kind of sucked.
Yeah, oftentimes
Yeah.
with those 2-4 structured games,
Yeah.
The pots don't look very big.
Right.
And it's funny how this game actually played a lot bigger than that 10-20 game did.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
Because of the action out there.
Looks like we had a raise here, I want to say by Owen, with by Ruben with King Jack of Hearts. Oh, and he's got the Jack here.
Where are the 3 players at? C9?
Assume that Ruben is going to bet here.
I'm going to check.
Ruben does bet with the King Jack, backdoor Hearts. And Richard calls with bottom pair, and now Ruben picks up a heart draw. And here we go, and now check, check again, these guys. Flush takes it down. I don't know what it is. These guys.
Take it down, Ruben.
Yep.
So, interesting post over on 2+2. Baron actually addresses all of that the morals question.
Yep.
And I guess in the end of it all, hey, I can understand some people, they kind of start feeling bad for somebody because they don't want to take their money.
Right.
You can't feel bad. You've got to actually, it's poker. It's part of the game. That's what it's all about. It's the reason why I play. I mean, I play hard versus you,
Right. And I'm up about $3,000 or $4,000 against you.
I thought it was 3. Actually, it was 3, and then I won a hand in the day versus you when you're King Queen, right? I bet into you. You raised me with King Queen, and then I came over the top.
Oh, yeah,
Board was
yeah.
King 6-4, 2 hearts.
Hold on, you have for one more second.
Well, CMW's got pocket queens here in the big blind. Let's see if he raises.
So I got back like 400 there, I think. So I'm down like 2,600 to you, yeah. I'll get it back. With interest. Compounded.
And CMW raises.
Hourly.
He's completed his action. Thank you. Appreciate that. 3 players. Me too.
9-7-3 here with a couple of spades. Ruben bets here with Queen 10.
2 players.
Excuse me, Sam bets with queens, and Queen 10 calls. Wow, the case queen on the turn here.
And is Ruben going to get in trouble here? And talk about reverse implied odds. Ruben is drawing dead.
Yep. River's an ace. Queens is going to bet here again.
And Ruben's probably going to call him.
Well, but will that ace save Ruben the extra bet here on the river? He can only beat pretty much a pure bluff, but he does pay it out.
I mean, the funny thing is, you look at that flop, okay, Bart? Look at the flop. It's 9-7-3 with 2 spades. He's got Queen 10 with no spades.
Right.
What are you calling for? The flop. It's like we always see this. One mistake begets another mistake.
Yeah.
And we're getting a lot of emails from people. Thomas Boldrick emails us about multi-tabling on the internet. We really appreciate
I
that.
can tell you that sometimes it hasn't happened to me in a big way, but I have made mistakes in no limit hold'em multi-tabling online. Physical mistakes.
Misclick?
A misclick. Now,
Oh.
usually a misclick does not cost you your whole stack, but it might cost you. Say when you just wanted to limp in and it was raised, say $35 in front of you, and you call by mistake. I mean, it hasn't cost me an all-in, but.
But yeah, it's got to piss you off, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And it's definitely bound to happen, right?
Well, of course. I mean, I'm assuming, does your computer, like, beeping at you to get, like, hand here, hand there to act on?
Yeah. Queen, Jack, Jack here. Ruben's got 3 jacks. Ruben bets. And Richard is going to raise. Oh, excuse me. Richard
Ruben's
bets
raise,
and
yeah.
Ruben raises.
And easy four down for Richard there.
Yeah. Shows the ace jack. Thanks for the email there, Thomas Boldbrick. He was talking about how as you continue to play more and more games, especially no limit, how those mistakes can be very costly as opposed to limit where it's only, one extra bet, right?
Yeah.
I just find that, I did enjoy limit hold'em while I play. I think there's more of a place, I think I speak for you too, in no limit where I think there's a lot more money to be made and the variance is less.
Well, it's a matter of most of the new money that's coming into poker these days is going to no limit.
Right.
No time, Harold. He got 4 cards in his hand.
Ruben is raised here with an ace-king.
Guys, get out. Let me get
That's
out.
interesting. On Friday, you and I played with, was it Danny Masterson?
Yeah. I actually had a nice comeback after you left that
Did
night.
you?
Yeah, I
Good.
did. I ended up up
free rides
about
on
a
this one.
grand. I was down 2,000 early.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I had a bad go of it that night and just went home.
Ruben there, ace-king, and Richard with ace-3. And both players check. Turns a deuce.
Oh, Ruben's got the, Ruben's really got him here. Now, Richard has a,
Time.
Rivers a
Okay.
5.
I was going to say Richard had a wheel draw. He needed a 3 or a 4 that was not a heart.
And look at this. Richard is going to bet. And Ruben calls.
Wow,
And Richard
nice
lied
call.
to him. Richard lied to him. And Ruben calls with ace-king.
Nice call there by Ruben.
He always knows what I have. I don't get it. He always knows what I have.
Nice call there by Ruben.
Once again, we're live at the
With
bike,
my
folks.
blind, he
I'm
raised
David
my
Tuckman
blind.
here with Bart Hansen.
I can tell you, it seems like Ruben is a little bit too passive post-flop. I mean, he's got the nut flush draw on the turn, ace-king. He didn't bet in position with ace-king on the flop.
Maybe he knew Richard would fire at it. He induced a bluff.
Yeah.
This is the second hand, Owen. I dealt you in the first hand.
Email here from Jackal over at EFNet Poker.
F-net.
FNet
think
Poker.
that's what
Is there a live at the bike forum going on? Over there?
I do not know. But he said that he's enemies. Their side is enemies of 2+2.
Enemies?
Yeah. And we don't like it when you spout their website every 2 seconds.
Rebels in the dark
Sorry,
side or
Jackal.
something?
I'm not necessarily all that privy to the forum wars that go on in internet land.
What can we do to change it? You did it.
Ace 9-8 here with a couple of clubs. Now Richard's got ace 4. It's the best hand right now.
Yeah. And Richard's going to bet it on the button.
It's actually seat 9 bet with. Actually, seat 9's got 7-9. He bet and Richard raised. And did Sam 3-bet? I think Sam might have 3-bet. Richard called. Turns an 8. Sam bets again. And Richard is good here with ace 4.
I'm not sure what Sam is trying to do here. I mean, does he really think that Richard is full of it? Does he think that his 9 is good?
If I got an 8,
You got an 8. It's the only hand you can beat me with.
Well, Sam is now lying to Richard.
Saying if you got an 8, you got me beaten. That's the only hand that can beat me.
Yeah. Here we go to the river. River's a club. Seat 9 bets here again. And Richard calls.
9.
huh?
9.
Nine what?
9.
Oh, okay.
So there it
I
is.
didn't understand you. Said you had fucking 9.
And you wonder if sometimes a player like Richard in the game,
Richard's doing really well tonight, isn't
well,
he?
you wonder if
Yeah.
he's driving everybody else batty.
I know.
I mean, that play by Sam there, he actually gave an awful lot away by saying, if you got trip 8, you got me beat. So then
Right.
you go, okay, well, you probably have ace-king. Then the club comes on the river and the guy still bets. Okay, well, now I'm hardly buying ace-king. If he had ace-king with the club out there, might have gotten scared.
Interesting post here by talking about Phil Ivey. He contributes to yeah, here we go.
I'm going to raise you there,
CW
buddy.
Siggy.
9.
When you play 5 to 10 million per year in taxes like Phil Ivey does, I would say a poker player contributes to society. Look at Richard, he's got aces.
Well, there you go. This guy's insane. Off the hook. He raises it up.
Hey, I'm
Ruben calls.
rooting for him because I think he's driving the action. He's
He
making it
is.
fun tonight.
He's great for the action.
4-way action here.
Uh-oh.
Wow, 3 flush.
2 pair for Ruben.
King 10-9, yep. It is a vulnerable 2 pair.
Oh, it's a terrible flop for Richard.
Ruben bets.
What an ugly, ugly flop for Ruben.
Richard is just going to call. And we're heads up. Here we go to the turn. Turn to blank.
Ruben's going to fire again. And this might be a time where you might raise this, try to get the showdown. You might just throw it away.
He just calls. Here we go to the river. River's a 5 and 9-10's good.
Yep, Ruben's going to win this, and he's going to keep firing. Wow.
Yeah, and Richard never really, and sometimes that's all you can really do there with aces, a couple black aces.
Now, obviously, if you raise the turn there,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw that at you. If you raise the turn, you get the free showdown.
Right.
And if this guy was just making this play with some sort of garbage hand, well, I guess in that case, you don't really want him off the hand. You want him to keep inducing the bluff. If he's bluffing into you, you want him to keep bluffing. And I guess there's really no way for you to know if your hand's improved or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only way your hand would improve, I guess, would be a non-diamond ace comes out there. That would be the ace of hearts comes out. But even then, you might be raising a flush. So, I take back what I said.
Raise.
So it's funny. I was actually checking out the 2+2 forum last night. And I'm posting on some stuff, and I kept saying they were talking about internet poker is so much better than live games. And I kept writing. I go, check out Live at the Bike, and then tell me that. I go, watch it on Wednesdays and Fridays, and tell me that.
Rick raised there with 5-3 of clubs there, and he stole the blind, which is something that a type player will have to do occasionally.
Hey, if you're not picking up any hands and limit hold'em, it'll really eat you alive. You've got to steal once in a while.
Well, that's funny, though, because usually all the literature, all the stuff on internet forums, whether it's 2+2 other forums, usually the same level on the internet is much tougher than the same level live.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. I guess their thinking was, though, comparing, say, 500 hands a week to 5,000 hands a week.
Yeah.
They're all going, well, I'll take the 5,000 hands, thank you.
Seat number 9 is going to raise here with Queen 6 of hearts. And seat 6 is going to call with Ace 10 in the blinds. Jack 4-4. Queen 6 should probably just bet.
Yeah.
Although we've seen Sam call here many times.
Take one off?
With Ace 10. He does. He hasn't done anything yet.
See, he doesn't even have 2 overcards. He's got 1 overcard.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know if it's good.
Yeah.
And he's going to throw it away.
Fold.
I guess it's funny. I mean, you and I have obviously been watching and analyzing live poker for the last year and probably the last 14, 15 months now. And it just seems like the games are so good live.
Yeah.
That you were telling me, because I know you play a lot of online and a lot live, and you were saying the games are just so much better live.
Well, the games are good live. I'm just trying to, kind of find my happy medium as to what the best hourly is. Sometimes it's like, well, if the game is good here after the show, I'll stick around. If the game is so-so, I might go home and play, like I said, 3 or 4 tables of 3-6.
I guess my question is, okay, let's say you're playing 3 or 4 tables of No Limit Hold'em online.
Yeah.
How much can you make in an hour doing that? Or you don't have enough hours to figure it out?
Yeah, I don't really have enough hours. I think, pocket queens here for seat number 4. And we don't really, you and I have talked about, we don't really have enough hours to really say what our hourly is over in that 5-10 game yet either.
Yeah.
Both of us have really done well, but it's just too early to say right now.
Set of queens for Eric.
Yeah, he was the pre-flop raiser.
And
why not jam it?
Of course, why not? At a table like this where people just call, they'll take one off with ace-jack.
Sam W. is going to call with king-jack here on
there
this
you go.
flop.
And he's almost drawing dead. I mean, he needs running cards here. Well, that's one of them. He needs a 10 now.
And this is the type of thing that just absolutely kills you. I don't know.
And look at this. He calls here. And clearly you do not have the odds to call that.
River's a 3. Eric bets again.
And he throws it away.
Yeah.
And I never understood. You're calling with overcards, king of diamonds, jack of hearts to catch what?
I think hypothetically or what I've looked at, again, I don't really have a large enough sample. I think you probably could make some more money, say playing 3 or 4 600 tables on partying at a time. But at the same time, I think you and I make a lot of money in this 5-10 game. So it's if you're here anyways,
10,
it's
20,
kind of
right.
exactly. So it's.
And I'm assuming, I'm not sure about you, but is it more fun for you to be out of the house playing 1 table live, or would you rather be home playing 3 tables online? Is there a preference in terms?
I mean, I like the live play better. I think it helps me with my game, actually.
Okay.
Get a raise here by Garland. Re-raise. He's got kings. Finally picked up a big overpair.
And he gets called by 2 players.
Ace 5, and it looks like 7-8 off suit. Here we go. Queen 4 here.
Easy bet for Garland. And he's in great shape here, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Keep drinking and the drug.
And Ace 5 calls, and can 7-8 overcall here? I mean, is that a stretch for Richard?
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
That's a real stretch.
He's out of there.
When you're calling, hoping to pick up a draw or a gut shot, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's the ace. I mean, I'll tell you.
Oh.
Garland's just had the worst of it tonight.
And I think it went check. And now Garland bets, figuring that he's got the best hand, but ace-5 calls him. Ah. And then he turns over ace-5, and it's like, my God.
Calling the flop for a 3-outer.
I mean, Garland is just going through what some tight limit players go through. And
It just happens, yeah.
Yeah.
The guy catches a 3-outer, you know? What are you going to do?
If it hadn't been you that re-raised, I would have felt much better.
Under the gun, right?
Under the gun.
Best place.
Under the gun. Ace-5 off.
It was funny when I first started my my poker playing. I never understood. I go, you know, this game's an 8-16 game. Why don't they just play it with $8 chips or $4 chips, right? I go, have less chips, and obviously the more chips out there really induces the action.
Yeah.
I know there's a casino, a local casino that actually plays $25.50 limit hold'em with $5 chips, and those pots just, I mean, they look ginormous.
No limit, I push all in on the flop.
I guess for you also playing live, if you're playing at home, there aren't any Asian girls walking around your house, are there?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's 6'8" here with a couple spades.
Ruben's got the ace.
This one was limped around.
Yeah, Rick's got second pair.
He bets. Trying to see where he's at here. Now, seat number 3, Ruben, he just calls.
It's funny, in a bigger game, oftentimes you'll find out exactly where you're at because if somebody has an ace, they'll raise it up.
Right.
This game, sometimes it's hard to figure out where you're at.
Well, how about this? You pick up trip eights here on the turn. Now, Richard's got a flush draw to the queen. I assume that Rick is going to continue to bet here. He does. Is Ruben going to still call here with ace-7? He does.
Wow. And now his 7 barely plays. I mean, he's got aces and 8s, the 7 kicker, but...
So, Richard's going to need to catch a spade here that is not a 10. And the river is a queen. And that might get Richard to stick around once Rick bets one more time. I mean, Richard might overcall here. I think this is an easy bet here again for Rick.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he checked it. And it got checked around, and I think he's a little bit disgusted with himself. Looks like he's disgusted. I think he knew it when it got checked behind him here on the river. And I think he would have definitely gotten a call from Ruben. And I think
never know,
Richard might have overcalled with the queen.
Yeah, we've seen stranger things.
Yep.
I forgot you for that ace, didn't I?
Yeah.
Again, you can email us at liveatthebike.com. Become our friend at myspace.com/liveatthebike. Tomorrow we'll be doing 300 to 500 restricted buy and no limit hold'em with 5-5 blinds.
Yep. If you want to check out our website, you can go to www.liveatthebike.com. We've got a bunch of features on there. Bart's bio, my blog. You can also subscribe to the archives there.
That's right,
Or you can
liveatthebike.com.
Yeah, you can get every single show we've ever done. We've got episodes with Barry Greenstein, Kenneth James, Kathy Liebert, Doyle Brunson.
Look at this. Rick Nebbiolo, we can't see his cards, but he is capped it. So I got to assume he's got a minimum of a huge hand. He's got pocket 9s. He's got pocket 9s and he's capped it, and he has the best hand. Now, Richard has an overpair to this board. I think Rick was the raiser, and then a re-raise by 9. I don't think Rick gave him any credit. I think he thought he was ahead, and he is.
Yeah, and he's gonna get. I think he's gonna get Sam W out of the hand, and he does.
Yeah,
it's heads up.
Bet by Richard and a raise by Rick. Oh, the turn's a 7.
Oh,
Good
man.
Lord. And he comes out and bets on the 7. I think Rick is trying to figure out if he should raise here. He is just going
He's
to
gonna
call.
Surprised Richard did not check raise that, but I like the bet.
And the river's a deuce, and he bets blind.
And Richard's got the got a pretty big hand there. And I can't imagine Rick throwing this away. He's probably going to cry and call.
Well, from what we've seen of Richard, he's capable of bluffing.
Yeah, I think you need to call
these
this.
cases. And he's going to call, and Rick can see that he got turned here. Yeah. I gotta say, Rick is a guy, and I played. You actually played with him before I even got here for like almost a year, because you've actually been here for like a year longer than I have. He's a guy that just never shows his hand.
Rick,
I mean,
no.
yeah, I mean, the only time I ever think I've ever seen him show his hand was when we had like some sort of theme, like bombshell models
He was
night,
playing
like
with all
a
those
year
girls,
ago.
yeah.
yeah. I think it was a $100 no limit game.
And he showed it.
Yeah.
He actually smiled that night, too.
Yeah.
First time he smiled since like 1983. Yeah, Rick was he was like one of the like prop directors here or something. He's one of the poker directors here
Some
for a
sort
little
of
while.
salaried job.
Yeah.
Like he was actually almost like a liaison, like a poker
Yeah,
relations person.
exactly.
But he kind of was a prop too.
Well, he'd play a lot. He would also play a lot in the stud high low game with us.
Well, Eric's got ace king. I don't think Eric raised it pre-flop. Am I wrong about that? I don't think Eric raised it pre-flop. He limped it. And now he bets here. Now Harold has got ace 9. Is he going to raise?
Wow, and seat 1 is not up there yet. Richard's got 10-4. He's got 2 pair.
Wow, he's got and he's going to check raise with bottom 2 pair here with 10-4.
And look at Eric. Poor Eric's got ace king.
Now remember, this pot was limped around. And let's see if Eric 3-bets. No, he's just going to call. And Harold overcalls. There we go to the turn. Turns a jack. 10-4 is still good. A bet here by Richard.
Yeah, Eric's going to call. Harold's going to call, I bet. Now, this is interesting. He's got to dodge a lot of cards. He's got to dodge an ace, a jack, a 9, and a king for Richard to win this hand.
You can't comment during the hand. Okay. Hearts. Whatever you think about the hand, this player could possibly hear, and they're not hearing.
Right. Here we go to the river.
5
River's
doesn't
a
change
5.
anything.
2 pair.
And Richard's going to take this down. He checks it
He
down.
actually checked it down there at the end.
Maybe got scared of the
I'm a
back
little
door heart.
surprised that Harold continued to overcall. I mean, you get a bet by Eric. Okay, a lot of times I'm going to raise, see where I'm at there. Again, the pot's limped around. Now you're going to get a check raises. Eric calls, and now you overcall. Now this guy fires again on the turn. Eric calls again. Boy, it's just like, what can ace 9 be at that point? I mean, I know a lot of people in limit poker are just, it's very, very difficult for them to get rid of top pair, but ace 9, it's just...
Not something you want to really put your chips in with. I agree with you.
Email here from Dave Jones who said, I once asked security to remove a real drunk guy in a wheelchair. He thanked me as they wheeled him out. Another time I was in a small limit game with a guy who was obviously sleeping outdoors. He was playing every hand and looking desperate. I called him away from the table and offered him $50 to leave. He took it, thanked me, and left. There you go. I gotta tell you, when I walk back or when I walk into the casino, there are cars out there in the back parking lot, these shitty cars from the early 80s where guys are actually sleeping in the cars.
Are they really?
Yeah, I mean, you see 1 or 2 sometimes. Queen 8 here. Look at this, Ruben has got a pair of 8s.
I'm sure that bike is thrilled we're advertising that.
It's got to be said, you know. Sam is going to bet here with King Jack. And Richard calls with ace 9. Now, is Ruben going to get involved here with Jack 8? Nope.
Well, Larry Gilbert actually used to say that he used to come to work and take a nap in his car before he'd come in. He did.
Turns a 10, and now Sam is open-ended. Is Richard going to continue to call with ace 5?
Well, now he's picked up a draw.
Yeah, he's got a gut shot to the Jack, and he calls again.
Yeah, Sam needs a king, an ace.
River's a deuce, and is this one going to just go check? No, Sam, he's going to bet at it again. And Richard can only beat a bluff. I never quite understand why people choose to bluff people that seem to be calling stations.
And Richard calls.
And he does make the call with ace high.
Wow, and this guy's on fire. I mean, let's look at his stack of chips there. Now, I can only guess that he stacks them he stacks his chips in 20s, which means each one would be $40.
$40.
So that's 120, 240, 360, 480, 600, 720. Man, I mean, this guy's got about $1,000 in 8-16 game. It's on absolute fire. This is hysterical. Eastern Block's post.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, since we've known Eastern Block for a little while, obviously we know this is somewhat sarcastic, but it's really funny. He says, what's unique to limit flop games is when there's no ace on the flop, The turn is an ace 75% of the time. Knowing that, Garland should have checked the flop with his kings, preparing to open fold the turn if an ace comes.
I have a little caveat to that statement with regards to Omaha Low. Because in that game, the river is always a counterfeiting deuce or 3.
Yeah,
always. When you have the net low. So Kings is raised here, and Sam is going to bet. And Richard has raised. He's got a straight draw, Dave. And he's going to get re-raised. Now, in this case, he's driven out the other people with his straight draw. There really wasn't much of a point to raise with 6-9 there. He needs a 5 here or a 10. Eric is not in the hand. Turns a king. Wow, now you get a top set here for Sam. Look at this. He checks it, and Richard takes the card. And the river's a 5. And he's going to get to raise the river here.
Oh, man. And Sam might re-raise this.
No, he just calls.
Okay. Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh, nothing
He just calls.
There you go. Slow play your set of kings and get
straight.
Oh, man. Richard gives it to him right in the ass. Oh, Jesus.
Hi, Sam.
Oh, that is awful. That is just, I mean, it's just, obviously the king on the turn changes nothing.
You've been hanging around with your dog too long.
No, I mean, the king on the turn changes nothing, obviously. But you look at that and you go, well, I'm going to check it and play it tricky. And we always talk about in limited hold'em, there's no real place to play it tricky. Just bet your hand, and if the guy sucks out on you, hey, he sucks out.
Well, because remember, I mean, that's a missed big bet that he would have gotten a call from Richard for. Regardless, let's say the river was a blank.
Right.
Well, okay, it's going to go bet fold on the river, and you've missed a big bet, not charging the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I never understand. You're going to 3-bet the flop and then not lead in on the turn. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
How about the worst thinking is this?
Yeah.
Seat number 9 could go home, and we got to raise here. Seat number 9 can go home and actually think that he played it right because he goes, well, you know what? I saved myself a big bet by not betting the turn.
Right.
People actually will think that way.
We had a raise here, and these two are at it again. 6-5 of clubs and ace-3, and neither player have anything.
Me and you, man.
I'll check all the way if you want.
Oh boy.
Okay, let's go.
I check.
Okay, check.
Well, Richard's going to win this with ace high.
Me too.
Yep.
Ace high's good. Nice hand.
Take it down, Richard.
Unbelievable stuff. Live at the bike.
Unedited. Politically incorrect. And every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10.
Yes.
I tell you, this plant is like attacking you.
Yes, it's consuming my head here. Anyone
Looks
get
like
a picture
Seymour.
back here?
Yeah. Seymour's gonna eat you. There you go. Okay.
And it's not like I've moved. It's just like seemed to have creeped up on me.
I'm telling you, the thing's alive.
Yeah.
Where is?
I thought we got this thing out of here because we had this problem like a couple months ago, and now it's passed.
Do it. You know what? You raised, though. I said if you called.
You called me.
Got a raise here by seat 9. I think he's steaming a little bit with deuce 3 offsuit here.
6-9 even.
Queen 10 suited here for Garland.
And it seems like steaming in
And he
limit
folds.
hold'em, you can burn through so many chips so quick.
Ace 4.
I was actually playing a little bit on full tilt yesterday, Dave. I
Limit
popped
or-
into 15:30 Omaha High Low and 8:16 because Eric Seidel was there, and I talked to him for a little bit.
Oh, cool.
He said he knew of the show.
Gotta get him down here. Does he play? He plays cash games, doesn't he?
You know, I don't really know. I mean, I would assume. I assume he's on the tournament trail.
What'd you guys talk
Most
about?
of the time. Just, tried to pump the show a little bit. He said, when can I catch it and such.
Cool.
Oh, he's up. We have a chance.
We should invite him down here. See if we can tell him we'll plug full tilt for him. Full contact. What is it? Full tilt or full
tilt.
contact? Full tilt.
Full contact is Negrano.
All right. I was confused.
4-way action here, limped around. Queen 4-3. We got a queen 6 here for Sam. And Sam W is going to bet with king 10.
2 players.
Turn is a 3. And here we go to the river. The river's a 5. Sam has called him the whole way, I believe. And look at this. Sam W is going to continue to bet here. King high. And Sam is going to win it there with queen 6. There it is.
And that's the same thing in limit hold'em as is in no limit hold'em. If you are paying attention and focused at your table, you can really, you can capitalize when somebody else is playing with their emotions. And obviously, seat number 9, Sam W. there is obviously steaming a little bit, and you can really capitalize. And here we get on the chip count.
Look at Richard. Wow.
Yeah, that's a big win for an 8-16 game.
$1,150. Let's take the differences. Look at the differences. $950. Wow, is that big?
I mean, him and Ruben are the only guys even winning. The rest of the table is just contributing to him.
That is a big, big time win there.
Garland down, Sam W. down.
I mean, again, that's like being up, say, $2,500 in the 2040 game.
Well, yeah, he's almost up 5 racks in a 4-8 structured game.
Right.
That's insane.
Now, Harold here has raised with pocket kings out of the big blinds.
5 players.
5-way action. This one time in kings with 5 ways here out of the blind. You're just holding your breath here, Dave. Here we go to the flop. Well, he's got top set. I would jam it if I were him.
Not even a question. You've got to jam this.
Yeah.
No reason to slow play this at all. Everybody takes one off anyway.
Now, no one has a spade draw, and no one has a jack. Everybody might fold, but look at ace-3 is going to call with a gut shot to the jack. Sam is going to call with middle pair, virtually drawing dead if he catches his queen. And the other ace is in there. Turns a deuce. Well, now Sam's picked up a backdoor diamond draw with middle pair.
That would be so ugly.
Harold needs to dodge a jack or a diamond. Sam W., he's going to continue to call with just the pure gut shot to the jack. And if it's the jack of diamonds, it's no good. Here we go to the river. Well, it's a 5. I think Harold should bet this one more time. He
does. Not even a question.
Seat 9 is missed. And is Sam saying, you know what, this pot's so big I have to call here? I can't imagine how he would think his hand's good right now. Unless for some reason the guy was betting pocket jacks the whole way.
And he's going to call him. It's one of those times where you just manufacture a hand. You start thinking of hands that your opponent has that you might be able to beat.
Yeah.
And like you said, you just manufacture. You go, maybe the guy's got jacks. Maybe he was betting jacks the entire way.
3 kings is good.
And Harold's really not had a good night.
Yep.
Finally wins a big pot. And the nature of limit hold'em also, in a game like this, you don't have to win a lot of pots in this game. Now, sometimes if you play the higher limits, the pots rarely get that big. Most of the pots are either heads up. Sometimes 3 people are in it. And often after the flop, it's heads up.
Putt moves over here to seat number 7. It's that white disc. A lot of people say, hey, can you guys show the button? Well, yeah, it's the white disc right there, seat number 7. I think Eric here, oh, I guess not. I thought he had aces, but I imagine he wouldn't fold aces. There it is. Pocket 10s here for Sam. He's going to bring this in for a raise. Now,
Harold's going to call with king-queen.
King-queen in the small blind.
Sam
Call me
W's
crazy
gonna
that, that's probably a hand that I 3-bet or fold in that spot a lot of times from a late position raiser. And we got 4-way action.
The only thing is, in a game like this, 3-betting, I don't know if it's going to drive anybody out
it's
anyway.
true. Good flop for 10s here. He's overpaired to the board.
You're putting 3 bets in there. Everybody calls anyway. Then what do you do?
Look at me, the other ones. If they call, you're in trouble. Small blind, big blind. If they call, you're in big trouble.
It's interesting. Richard doesn't have any chance to win this hand. Couldn't he win with running 5s? No? Anyways, he's out.
Yeah, I would think so.
And we're heads up. King Jack is still in the hand. The turn's an ace. A bet again here by 10s. And that's going to do it. Right, running 5s?
Yeah, I imagine so. I can't think. Why not?
I show you all the time.
5s over 3s?
All the
Yeah.
time I show you.
Oh my God.
Show one, show all.
Button moves over to seat number 8, small blind. And seat number 9, big blind is Richard in seat 1. And Rick Nibliola is first act, throws it away. Ruben's going to play his suited king. He's got king 4 clubs in early position. He's going to limp in. Eric limps in with ace 9. And a bunch of limpers, and we're going to limp around, and we're going to see this pot 6 ways.
Put some diamonds out there. Watch them run.
6 ways, so it's a $48 pot, and there's the ace. A couple of players have the same hand, actually ace 10 and ace 9 out there. And look at that, seat 4, Eric's got top 2 pair. Now, seat number 9, Sam W. has the flush draw, and he has a nut flush draw with the king of hearts. And he's checked it. Eric's bet. Sam is raised. Wow.
Eric is re-raised. He's got top 2 with the ace 9.
Yeah, the interesting overcall also is by Owen also called this. That was the case ace out there.
Yeah, 3 bets here on the flop. Remember, Sam W is drawing to the nut flush draw.
Now, we always talk about if you have 3 players in there against you and you have the nut flush draw, you can really, really bang it.
A bet here by Eric, a call by Sam. Owen is out of there now. And Sam W. is called with the flush draw. And the river here is a 9.
Wow, and Eric fills up.
Yep. And he bets again. And ace 10 has called him the entire way.
And give Owen credit at seat 7. At least he threw away his ace 7, realizing that couldn't be good.
Yep. Good hand there for Eric. I got to tell you, one of the things I've actually haven't been running all that well, and it is due to variance in Omaha low online. I mean, I had a hand that almost wanted me to throw. I wanted to throw my computer out the window. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 in my hand, and the flop came out 1, 2 high. I had 2 pair with the nut flush draw and the nut low. There were so many There were so many, well, not backup, not low draw.
Oh, just no low. Oh,
One,
sorry,
two, three,
right,
four.
thank you.
There were so many cards. There was only a selected few amount of cards that hurt my hand. And the turn was a blank, and the river was a 4.
What's what I was going to say? You make a 3rd pair?
I mean, I was just sitting there. So now my low is just a live 3, which is just,
Garbage.
it's... Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're almost certainly against the wheel, aren't you?
Yeah, in that spot. With all, they were multi.
Oh, yeah, somebody's definitely got 3-5.
Sitting there with 2 pair with the low draw and the nut flush draw.
All you're hoping for, you just give it like a nice 7 out there.
I mean, all I can't see is an offsuit 3 or an offsuit 4. Those are the only things that kill my hand. 9-5-4 here. Oh, Garland's got the overpair. Look at this. Sam W's got king 9. I think he's going to go to war with it here.
Oh, yeah, I don't think Sam's going anywhere.
Well, he's going to raise. Throws like a $100 chip in there. Yeah, that's what that is. It's a white chip, I believe.
And Garland's...
See if Garland
now, if Garland is paying attention,
yeah,
he's got to realize that Sam W. has been steaming a little bit and been bluffing off all his chips, and I like the bet by Garland.
I got to tell you, Garland's been running so bad. The turn's 7. He needs to dodge a king or a 9.
He's got to keep firing this one.
He does. A bet, and Sam is trying to figure out.
I mean, Garland's played like 2 hands all night. If you're Sam here, you got to realize this guy's got an overpair.
He calls. Well,
drawing the 5 outs.
See if somebody else sucks out on Garland here. Here we go to the river. Nope.
Oh, Garland wins a hand. Garland wins a hand.
And he bets again. And he gets called. And he takes it down there with the over.
And look, there it is.
Yeah.
Garland wins a hand. Garland wins a hand. He's been snake bit on the show, I got to tell you. He was kind of like Kenneth James for a long time, where he just could not win on live the bike.
Okay, here's 2.
They're lucky chips, you know that.
I tell you, it's funny how some tournament players have no respect. I'm looking at this 2+2 post, and a lot of them are referring to Chris Moneymaker as maybe Richard is the next Chris Moneymaker. And it's just funny how, some players, like Greg Raymer, has a lot of respect. And you look at Chris Moneymaker, and for whatever reason, I mean, obviously he got lucky to win the World Series, but obviously he knows how to play poker. He has no respect whatsoever.
Putt moves over here to seat 1. We have about 15 minutes left in the show. Definitely been an entertaining show. I have to thank Richard for that in seat 1.
Yeah, he's really driven the show.
Yeah.
Interesting email here from AJ. Said, hey, David's response to Richard catching the river straight to suck out on Sam W's set of kings was priceless. You guys now have a viewer for life. Thanks, AJ. Appreciate it.
4 players.
4-way action.
Thanks, Mom.
8-6-3 here with a couple clubs.
Hey, Ruben's open-ended.
Well, Sam W's got top pair. He bets.
He bets it. Pretty easy call here for Ruben.
Yeah, he makes the call. And Owen overcalls again here with ace high. Turns a 5. Now Owen's open-ended, and Sam makes 2 pair. And look at this. I believe that Owen is going to bet right into the open-ended straight draw. Let's see if Sam raises with 2 pair here.
Yeah. I think it's an easy raise.
He calls.
Okay, what do I know?
And Ruben is going to overcall with
Remember,
the
he's
straight draw
raising
pair.
in position. Unless somebody has specifically 9-7,
Right.
they can't 3-bet you.
And the river's a 4, and there is the straight for Owen.
Yep.
And he bets. And now Ruben's made 2 pair. Now, Ruben can't overcall 2 pair here. No, he does not.
No.
Yeah, and ace 7's good for the
He's
straight
got
there.
garbage 2-pair. He can't even beat like 8-5
I'm
or
trying to
8-6.
figure out the mantra. I mean, kind of the reasoning by when Owen seems to call flops face high. It seems like when he has some sort of, when he has backdoor clubs and a backdoor straight with ace high, he calls.
Right. He figures a lot of cards can help him pick up a draw, I suppose. You never really know. Once again, you can catch our show every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 p.m. Monday night's kind of limit night. That's how we get our week started. And Tuesday's kind of our 3 to 500 game. Wednesday's our big whale game where we have 25, 50 blinds. Somewhere upwards of $100,000 is usually on the table on Wednesday nights. And Mo is actually returning on Wednesday.
Back from Dubai, right?
Yeah. Thursday's kind of, we leave it up in the air. We never know what it's going to be. It could be small, no limit. It could be pot limit, hold'em, who knows. And Friday's our big Friday night, double fist night for Bart, where we play 10, 20 blinds, no limit hold'em.
Well, this is interesting. Now, Richard here has raised with pocket 10s. Rick Nebbiolo has got pocket 8s. He does not 3-bet. You know, at this table, he figures if all these guys are in for 1-bet, let me just call and see if I can hit my set. I don't mind it.
I don't mind
because
it
I don't
either.
think there's fold equity.
I agree.
Ace 9-7 here with a couple diamonds.
Richard's still good.
Actually,
I'm sorry,
Harold's
Sam.
got ace rag over there, ace 7.
Actually, 2 pair.
Yeah.
Look
He's
at
got
that.
top and bottom. He bets.
Now, Sam's got
Can
second.
Sam manufacture a way to call here on this flop? He does with 3-5 of clubs. Richard calls. 3-5 of clubs there, ace 7-9.
Well, he's got backdoor clubs and backdoor straight draw. I mean, backdoor straight draw.
And now Rick is trying to figure out,
I think it's an easy laydown if you're Rick.
but with Harold betting in there, he's going to call.
You got to look at who's betting. It's Harold betting.
Would there ever be a way where the pot's so big you can spike your set on the turn? The turn's a jack. I usually think not.
Problem is, it could bring somebody a straight. I mean, there's a 7 and a 9 out there. What if somebody's overcalling with, say, Jack 10? You never know at this table.
Harold bets here with ace 7. Is Richard going to continue? Yeah, he's going to continue to call with pocket 10s. I think Rick can easily fold now.
Yeah, well, now both Rick and Richard have picked up straight draws.
Yeah, he does have a straight draw to the 10.
And Richard obviously needs an 8.
And Sam overcalls here with a 9. So Richard can catch a 10 or an 8 here. Oh, the river's a king.
And Harold's going to win another big pot. I mean, look at the size of this
And
pot.
he's going to bet again. And can pocket 10s call here with what is now 4th pair on the board?
I mean, you got to look at who's betting.
I think he's going to get away from it here.
Looks like it. He's now double gutted, though. Come on, give him one more call.
Wow, and he's going to win a big pot without a showdown here?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that respect.
No showdown.
Everybody on 2+2 is talking about the old 10-5 offsuit. And I threw this question out there. It's kind of a little trivia question. I threw it out a long time ago, so if you remember it, don't answer it. But for anybody new to the show, you can email us in with the answer. What is the only straight you cannot make in Hold'em with the exact hand of 10-5? It's the only straight you can't make. Email us at live@thebike.com with your answer.
We've got small blind, big blind. We've got a call seat 8. I want to raise.
Owen can make A7.
Got a raise here.
No, maybe I can.
Yeah, ace-7 suited here for Richard. He's going to raise it up. Buys himself the button.
I still can't believe we made that ace 7 over.
And now he's in bad shape here. two other players have aces, and they both have better kickers than him.
Garland's going to call with suited ace. Ace 10 there for Owen. King deuce of clubs for Eric. Here we go to the flop. Jack 5-9 here with a couple of hearts. Boy, this has not hit anybody. I mean, if Richard were to actually bet here, could he get everybody to fold?
Well, he might not get everybody to fold yet, but he might only get one caller. You know, maybe Owen takes one off.
He does not bet, though. The turn's a 3.
And still
no one has a pair.
No. And Richard needs to bet. No. Wow.
And the river is an 8, and I think that Garland is backed into the best hand.
You're correct.
Yep. And he bets it. He's going to bet with ace 8 here. Figures, you know what, no one else has got it. But I don't think anybody can call him, though.
Richard might call with ace high.
You think so?
Yeah, you never know. We saw him calling ace high before. He's thinking about it. No, he's not going to get it.
Nope.
Take it down, Garland. He's on fire. Don't stop him. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. The myth, the legend. Garland.
Garland's been with us since the beginning, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Beginning.
Okay, I will say, actually, ethically, remember the night we played 3 to 500, okay? And it was a week after I had dunked it up on the show. So I wanted to come back the next week and actually show our viewers that I knew how to play poker. So I played it. George was in the game, and Garland was in the game. And I had a really, really good night. Things were going well for me. I was also playing well. I was reading well. I mean, I was in a good zone, okay? And I think it was like, I mean, I think I beat Garland like 4 or 5 times. And he was just having a terrible night. And I did feel bad at the end of it against him.
Well, 4-way action here. Garland's got the nut flush draw, and he's going to bet in it there for value with 4 people here as a semi-bluff and as a bet for value. If you get called in every spot, you don't mind it at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
You can really pound it with King 10 of clubs here.
Yep. But I don't think he is going to get called. 2 in a row for Garland.
Oh my! Look at him. He's on fire.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I like I said, I felt bad when I was beating him for his chips. Now, did I give him his money back? No. Did I change the way I was playing? No, of course not. But
I think he got on you, though, because you apologized to him, and he said,
yeah.
"Why are you doing that, Dave?"
Yeah, no, he did, and he was correct in saying it. There was a time, and it was funny because I never really mean it. And he goes,
right.
He goes, you don't really mean it. He goes, I was like, I do this time. I really did mean I was sorry, because he was having such a bad night. But we always talk about how you should never say you're sorry. Just take the chips and shut up. Got about 5 minutes left in today's show. If you missed the beginning of the show, you can actually watch this whole show again. What did it start, about an hour afterwards?
Yeah, an hour afterwards. Now, Rick Nebbiolo has brought this one in from a raise with ace 10. Seat 7, seat 8 call.
Okay. 4 players.
And we have 4-way action here. Here we go to the flop. King, Jack, Deuce here on the flop. And Owen here is going to lead right in with an open-ended straight draw from up front. Now, is Rick going to get involved? Look at this. Jack, Deuce here for Richard. He flops bottom 2 pair and he raises. And I think this is going to drive Rick out. Rick does have backdoor nut diamonds, but that raise is actually pretty critical for Richard. Jack, good old Jack, Deuce, Dave. And the turn is a Jack, and Richard fills up. And Owen is now drawing dead. So if Owen catches an ace or a 9, reverse implied odds. And the river is a 5. The river is a 5. It's a 3rd diamond. And Jack Deuce is good here.
He said, lucky I didn't catch it.
Oh, we had an email here that I wanted to read.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, here we go. TMBGTX says that I've been trying to get a friend to make some adjustments. He feels I'm incorrect. What do you guys think? He's been on a 4-month losing streak and then $200 no-limit game. I've strongly suggested that he mix up and move to a different casino for a while and move up to the 300 to 500. Does this seem like sound advice to you? I don't really think it's sound advice that when you're on a losing streak to move up. I don't think that's sound.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, I think the best thing you can do is try to examine your friend's game And
if
now-
it is your friend or if it's
I
yourself.
was gonna say, is this like
Right, right.
like my friend has a crush on her?
Yeah.
Anyway, but obviously you've got to examine your friend's got to examine why he's on a 4-month losing streak. I mean that's a pretty long losing streak. You
Especially
wonder
in
if
no
ma-
limit.
Yeah, you wonder if maybe they're losing for a month or two has started to affect their game.
Now Garland brought this one in with ace queen. He got called. He's going to bet with ace queen here. He's got middle pair, and it is best hand by far. But Richard is going to call him with 10-5, Dave. And the turn's a jack, and now he picks the gut shot up right on the turn.
Wow, that's sick.
If you're thinking, that means you're thinking about raising. Don't hesitate. Let's go.
Richard's real confident there.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what?
Usually when you're thinking, you're going to raise.
I mean, obviously we know we're privy to the cards, but you can pick a spot here, can't you? I mean, you can't be a 10.
Well, he calls, and the river is an 8.
How can
And
you
Richard
check?
checked it. He checked the river.
Wow, how do you check
How
that?
do you check the river? Wow.
Yeah, obviously that would be. I've been losing a lot. Should I move up? No, obviously not.
This is going to be the
I
last
think
game of
changing
the night.
casinos isn't a terrible idea, though.
No.
Obviously, it doesn't change anything. But hey, you know what? You get out of the same routine, that same losing attitude. Maybe you just go to a different spot. I think taking some time off might be smart too.
So you're going to answer that question now that we get a couple of emails that have come in?
We did, and that's exactly right. Well, it's Jay Siegel who says it though.
And James Geffler. James
Okay,
Geffler
there you
beat
go.
him to the punch.
You cannot make a 9 high straight with 10-5.
And we got a raise here out of the big blind with pocket 7s here by Richard in seat 1.
6-12.
Three-way action here.
6 hours, I had 14 racks.
King deuce 9.
You should have had never seen anybody.
I believe it.
Richard bets.
14 racks.
I don't need to call for it, man.
Seat number 3, Ruben is just going to call with king 10.
8 hours.
And seat 9 overcalls with 9-4. The turn's 6.
I believe it.
Checked to Ruben, and he bets here with top pair.
Yeah, pretty basic.
I fully,
But look at Sam W. He's going to check raise with just middle pair.
absolutely. You're right.
Now, against anybody else, you probably throw this away, but Sam W. has been bluffing all night. He's been kind of mixing it up, and he's been steaming. I think you can call this.
And Ruben does call. Sam W. needs a 9 or a 4 here. Here we go to the river. River's an ace. Boy, you know, if he was on the nut flush draw, too, you can't beat that. You only can beat a bluff here if you're Ruben.
Yeah.
But Ruben is actually going to pay him. He's going to call, and he's going to win.
Yep.
You're good, man. I got a pair of 9s. Thanks, Sam.
I mean, there's only 2 players in the game that you might call there. That's one is Richard and one is Sam W.
Yep. So that's going to do it for us tonight, Dave. Always limit hold'em, a lot of fun.
Yep.
We'll be back here tomorrow for a little 300 to 500 restricted buy-in. No limit hold'em. So for everybody here in the booth and for Dave Tuckman, I'm Bart Hanson. Good night, everybody, from Live at the Bike.
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.